and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Hello, Matt. How is it going?
I'm pretty good, so how are you?
I'm alright. Looking forward to talking Batman Returns.
Yeah.
A movie that we've known we were going to be doing for like months now.
We did, yeah.
This was a rare, no, we're doing this one this year.
Yeah, it's Christmas, we're doing that.
Mm-hmm. And the way it's fallen, it's the only Christmas movie we're doing, so, you know.
Yeah, well, I think, we can kind of claim Planes, Trains as a Christmas movie.
Yes, for a UK Christmas movie, for sure.
Yeah.
But, how did you see Batman Returns? Cinema, nice. I obviously did not, but
I went to the cinema to see it.
Amazing.
And amazing it was too.
Oh God, I can only imagine in the cinema. I've never seen this one in the cinema. I've seen 89 in the cinema.
Yeah.
Obviously re-release. But I have never seen this film in the cinema. I saw it on VHS at a friend's house. Thought it was amazing. Still think it's amazing. It's fucking bizarre, but amazing.
Batman movie, hands down.
Yeah, and I've said to you, it's between this and 1989 for me. I feel like 1989 is my favorite, but I think that's just this is the first one I saw kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it happens that way where the first one you see is always your favorite.
Yeah, that's a perfectly valid thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, the first one is fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've already covered the first one, but the first one's still fucking awesome. It's still great. But
It's a very good point.
This one for me just ramps it up. It's I guess it varies whether you like Tim Burton or not, but I like Tim Burton, or certainly liked older Tim Burton, you know, and he got to control this a lot more than he did in the first one.
I'd say so. So considering half of what happens in this movie, I'd say he definitely had more control.
Yeah. I mean, every sort of, you know, everything kind of oozes Burton, really. You've got, you know,
it really does.
From the costumes to the sets.
And the ludicrous nature of all of it.
Yeah. It's all, you know, over the top and brilliant, and in some cases like the comics, in some cases very much not like the comics.
Very much not like the comics. What I love is that...
Especially the Penguin.
Sorry?
Especially the Penguin.
Well, and Catwoman. I mean, her origin is bizarre.
Monster that this one is.
I still, to this day, don't understand Catwoman's origin. I don't know what happens in this movie. It just happens, and it's like, okay, I guess that's fine. I'm moving on.
It's kind of supernatural.
Kind of? Well, it has to be. By the end, it must be supernatural, right?
Yeah, because, that whole end thing is...
It's like... Yeah.
She wasn't supposed to come back.
No, but that would... But I mean, when he looks for her, she's not there. Like, it is properly supernatural by the end. Unless you got vaporized like a phaser blast. But what I love is that, like, modern Batman, they're so fucking obsessed with, like, let's make it realistic and grounded. And I love that in 1992, Tim Burton was like, let's make it way fucking weirder. Like, how much more weird and unrealistic can I make this?
Yeah. I mean, there was so many changes from the original script.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, the original script had...
Unfilmable?
Well, it was supposed to be Catwoman and Penguin team up to hunt for treasure. I think it was going to be under Wayne Manor.
Okay.
So there was that. There was going to be Robin.
What, in the Batcave? That's under Wayne Manor.
Well, I guess it must have been. You know, I mean, that would have been that they would have found his identity, I guess, earlier than
yeah.
You know, they do in the comics. And one of the other things was the Penguin was going to freeze Gotham.
Oh God.
Which of course they used later.
We got there eventually.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot, you know, weirder and not weirder, just different. And you know, there was a whole thing with Robin.
Okay, yeah. So
you know, Marlon Wayans was actually cast as.
I had heard that. Yes.
Yeah, and he got costume fitted and everything. They got costume for him. And he basically got paid, and they sort of paid him off. They said, you know, we don't really want.
We've changed our mind, but a deal is a deal.
But apparently, he still gets money for it. So,
well,
you know, good for him.
a contract is a contract, I guess.
He's paid for a job that he never actually got round to doing, which is kind of Cool. But that would have been interesting because they would have, you'd have got a race swap Robin already.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
early 90s, which would have been interesting. And I think that there was a brief panic with Marlon Wayans as well because at that point he was mostly known for, well, he kind of still is known for comedies and things.
But then so was Keaton.
Yes.
There was form for that.
Yeah, well, people do forget that Keaton was not a popular choice initially.
I don't think any Batman has ever. Maybe Christian Bale is like the only choice for Batman that people were like, yeah, okay. Other than that, like pretty much every one of them has been like, oh my god, not Ben Affleck. Oh my god, not Robert Pattinson. Oh, oh my god, not Val Kilmer. Oh my god.
I do love that. My favorite one is when I heard somebody say, oh, the next Batman's going to be Robert Pattinson, and the horror of the person who was it's like, what, the Twilight kid?
Well, there were two kinds of people. There were the people that wrote him off with Twilight, and there were the people that saw his other work, which was actually very good.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the same with all of them. They've all,
of course. I was, by the way, 100% on board with Ben Affleck. The moment it was announced, I was like, I can see that 100%.
Yeah. And I still think he did a fucking fantastic job, actually.
Yeah, oh god, anything wrong with his portrayal of Batman is not his fault. Like, I think he does a very good Bruce Wayne. I think he does a very good Batman.
Yeah, it got a little messy towards
the end. But I still think the same with Clooney. I think given a good script, Clooney could have probably been a pretty good Batman. He's a very good Bruce Wayne.
Oh, no.
I think he could have. I think that was script.
Kilmer was better than Clooney.
Well, yeah.
But
that's I don't think I'm not saying he's better than I just think he would have been fine.
I will admit that Clooney got totally stuffed on his Batman.
I don't think he cared, but yes.
No, he didn't really. I don't think he gave a shit. But yeah, he didn't really get a chance to do a decent Batman, did he?
No. Anyway, today we're talking about good Batman, not bad Batman. And I guess let's just get right into it. One thing I will say about this opening,
it's bloody long.
It's bloody long. It's also
the actual title bit, not the initial themes.
Well, of course we started the Cobblepot Estate, don't we? With
the birth of the penguin.
The birth of the penguin, and I get it. It raises the question, like what is the same as the animated series? It's like, what is the era I am in, and what are the rules around things in this era? Because I'm like, surely an ultrasound by now would have determined that this wasn't going to look entirely human. Like it comes as a complete shock to them because these people live in like Victorian times.
It's because of the nature of the movie.
I know, yeah.
Burton style. To me, it's always very 30s.
It is, but then they have modern cars. It's really weird.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be 60s, isn't it? Because it's 30 years between the birth and.
Yes. So this would be this. I suppose this would be the 60s, but they're dressed like they're in Victorian England.
Yeah.
and of course we see he's like in a cage.
Yeah.
With the duck on the front, which obviously will be a theme later on.
Yeah. Well, the duck. You can kind of say that the duck was part of. Maybe they got it at the zoo because if you see in the zoo, they're all right. The ducks are right and things.
Oh no! I meant he's got the small duck in front of the cage.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. You can say that what I mean is, like they bought that mobile at the zoo. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I see. Yes, possibly. So yeah, they
the dad being played by oh my god, I'm going to forget his name. Paul Rubens. Jesus.
Yeah.
Paul Rubens and the wife was also from Pee-wee's Playhouse, I think, as well. So they were both, Pee-wee Herman, and of course, Burton had worked on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So
I like that movie.
Explains a lot.
I like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I think it's a good movie.
They don't have any lines, and they're just these brilliant. They get these great.
I just like
glancing at each other.
I just like that they're like, so Should we give him up for adoption? Nah. Let's just throw him in the fucking river. It's like, wow, okay. I mean, I know he ate your cat, but Jesus. So yeah, a much better intro. And of course the Batman theme takes over as we see the Penguin's journey through the sewer.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Till the end. The thing I don't like about one, it's too long, the intro, and two, it's really nice, and then you get the actual title reveal is actually a bit naff.
Well, with the bats coming at you.
Yeah, with the sort of bats coming along that sort of tunnel, and then the title just comes up, and you're like, oh, that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah,
it's the only one I think that doesn't have a proper symbol. All the other movies start with like the bat symbol.
Yeah. This one just kind of follows the penguin baby's journey through the sewer, which is well shot, but
it is. Yeah.
I love how, obviously 92 is Batman Returns. It's also Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And my God, the opening of this film feels like an episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
They must have seen this and been like, this as a TV show. Because this setup is like pure, like obviously it wouldn't be the Penguin, but it would be pure opening couple of minutes for a Batman the Animated Series episode.
Yeah, maybe Killer Croc.
Yeah, maybe Killer Croc.
There was
And one of the other things I love, which we'll get to it in a minute, is the, Batman just saving the day at the start of the movie and just kind of being like, yeah, he's here, he's been around. Which leads me on to another weird thing. Is this called Batman Returns?
Yeah.
But in the movie, he's clearly been. He's not like he disappeared. Like
yeah.
He's clearly been helping the police because the police are paralyzed and helpless to do fucking anything in the city. So
originally it was just going to be called Batman 2.
Yes.
And Burton didn't want to do it. Burton doesn't apparently like doing sequels. He's never wanted to.
He does now.
But they kind of, I guess they kind of drove the truck up and said, "But look at all this cash."
Yeah.
And because the first one did fucking gangbusters, so obviously he was persuaded to come back.
Yeah.
And he immediately changed pretty much everything in the script, and what didn't like the original writer, and so changed a lot of the stuff, and he basically said, "I'll only come back if I get complete control." And I think the company regretted that afterwards, especially with the McDonald's deal falling through and stuff.
Yes, I would say so.
But yeah, so he was changed to Batman Returns,
and
everything was scooped out. There was supposed to be Vicky Vale stuff.
I think there's enough callbacks to Vicky Vale.
Yeah.
That we can assume that relationship was a disaster. And
he even tells you it didn't.
Yeah, well, he says like security. You're worried about security. You let Vicky Vale into the Batcave.
Yeah.
And I also love, which we'll get to in a little bit. I love the scene with him and Selena Kyle in front of the fireplace, because it's the opposite to what she said.
Yep.
When they're talking about Alfred, because she's like, "Oh, he's great, isn't he?" And then obviously Selena Kyle's just like, "This is a bit fucking weird. Who's this weird old guy?"
Yeah.
But anyway, we cut forward 33 odd years, and it's Gotham of the present day. And
I like the way that
you open on the Shrek shop, right?
Yeah, the department store, the Shrek department store,
mm-hmm.
And I love the difference in the city in this one. So the first
the first one was like 2 buildings, so
it's 2 buildings, but it's got that like real industrial Gothic look. The first,
yes,
sort of Gotham, it's really like pipes are everywhere,
mm-hmm.
and they're like girders and steel, and this one is totally German expressionism.
Yeah, it's like after Batman, they got a ludicrous budget. The city got a ludicrous budget in a couple of years and just went mental.
Yeah, somebody watched Metropolis and went, "Hey, those statues are really good. Let's just put statues of faces everywhere."
Now we get this moment as we see Alfred walking along with some gifts, and this newspaper guy's like, oh, like, hey sir, read about the penguin man of the sewer, and
This penguin man spotted in sewers.
yeah, and Alfred's just like, oh, what a load of rubbish, and he walks off, and I was like, I would have so bought that. If I was walking past and I saw on the newspaper, like the Evening Post, they were like, penguin man living in the sewer, I'd be like, oh my god, I'm definitely buying that.
What was that paper that used to get that had all the, like, Wolf Boy found and all that?
I bought like 14 times or something.
No, well, there was that as well. But no, there was a particular one that they make they use in Men in Black.
Oh, okay.
And is it J or K? K buys it and like he's like, hey, why would you want that? It's a load of shit. It's like, most of these stories are true.
Oh yes, yeah.
It just reminds me of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the sort of, you know, statue of there's two I really love. There's the statue of Elvis found on Moon.
Amazing.
Was it Mars? And then there was Loch Ness Monster spotted on Mars or something like that.
Fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
So we do get that moment where Alfred kind of looks back and he walks past the sewer and the penguin's hands just come out and go back in.
His hands, yeah.
And then we cut to Selena Kyle walking into the boardroom with some tea. And she starts pouring the tea as Max Shrek, played by Christopher Walken, starts talking about his just ridiculously unnecessary power plant that's going to suck power out of Gotham.
Yeah.
Although that's not disclosed yet. He's saying they're basically all sat there like, Max, the city has like a surplus of power, and he's like, no, more power.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's not for progress, though, is it? That's not for the future. We need more. He says
it's like 1% growth. That's not growth. That's a mild swelling.
Yeah. I love the way he's at the window and he says, was it? Oh, frankly, it makes me cringe to see Gotham without power. And you think, I love the way he says cringe. It's like, oh, that's how you say that word. It's cringe.
Yeah, I love that later on, as Penguin runs for mayor, we will get Max Shrek suggest that Penguin use his publicist, and I'm like, I don't think anyone should use your publicist, dude. Like. Like your stylist and publicist are like the worst people.
I love that building as well. The real like one side of the room is just glass windows.
Yeah, it's like curved glass, isn't it?
Yeah, and the back is this sort of like weird looking padded cell.
Yeah,
it's very Burton. It's
it's extremely Burton. And Max Shrek is dressed like a Burton villain, so
yeah, he's got that weirdly sort of different toned grey and
yeah,
like, you know, not pinstripe is too thick, but the striped suit, which is, I mean, he looks fantastic. Is this sort of he kind of looks like some nutty professor, really.
Yes,
that mane of white hair, which never quite looks realistic.
No, it kind of adds to it though. One of the things I really love about this movie is that it does look like a comic, you know?
Yeah.
Which I love. I like my Batman to be fantasy and like this, basically. So this works for me. We see, he denigrates Selena Kyle. He's like, oh, you know, she's crap, but she makes a good cup of coffee.
Yeah, she says, can I make a suggestion? And of course, everybody in the room turns around and is like,
what? A woman?
God, a woman speaks. And she never actually gets to say her suggestion.
No, he just shits on her, and then they leave, and like she's just poured coffee for no reason.
Yeah,
she makes the drinks, and they all just leave.
Well, he does drink some because he says she does make a good cup.
He drinks like a sip, but then Chip comes in, and they all just leave. Yeah. It's like she just poured a whole cup for no reason.
Chip, who is the biggest slab of man.
Oh god, he's so dumb. I love how thick he is.
Yeah, he's brilliant. But I do love the fact that the actor, who is it who plays Chip? Andrew Barnansky. He's totally doing a Christopher Walken impression, which is brilliant.
Yes, he kind of is. Yeah, you're right.
He's got the, it's like, oh well, he's his son. Of course he speaks he sounds like like Christopher Walken. It makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That dude went on to play Leatherface.
Yes, yeah. Well, he's got the
And
build, so.
yeah, he also played. I think in a fan film, he also played Lobo, which you can totally see.
I could totally see that. He's got the face for it.
Yeah, if you see pictures of him now with his beard and stuff and longer hair, he does look like Lobo.
I love so it's the switching on of the lights, or no, it's not. It's the speech before the switching on, because the switching on comes later, doesn't it?
No, because we get two switches on, so this is a switching on as well.
Oh, I think that's why I get confused, because I'm like, when are you switching these goddamn lights on? So this is the switching on of the lights, I guess, in the square, and then later on they do other lights. Yeah,
because the princess switches the lights on for this one as well, and then later on, the penguin challenges the mayor to re-switch
to switch them back on. So this will be the third time we've switched these fucking lights on. I like Max like kind of threatens the mayor as they approach the podium.
Yeah,
he's just like, I've got friends, just so you know. You might, I've got enough friends to swing an election. But of course the mayor says, well, you haven't got a candidate, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Selena Kyle is cleaning up when she realizes that she still has the speech. And Shrek is like, yeah, remind me to take it out on her later.
Yeah.
Lovely man. He then proceeds to give one of the weirdest fucking speeches ever.
Yeah, he just...
Santa Claus, afraid not.
Yeah, the mayor introduces him as Gotham's very own Santa Claus, doesn't he? It's like,
yeah.
Oh, sure.
And he's like, I wish I could hand out more than expensive baubles. I wish I could hand out world peace and unconditional love. Like, we could hand out some cash, mate.
You hand out presents? What more do you want?
Cash. We get that great. We do get that silhouette of the penguin walking through the sewer as well.
Yeah, they do a really good job of.
And then you get the flippers up against the grate, which I really love. That "oh but you can, oh but you will" with the.
Yeah, because all you see at this point is just his fingers.
You see his silhouette and then the flippers. Yeah. And then you get the big present arrive, and I love the mayor is like, "Wow, that's a great idea," and he's like, "Oh, it's not mine. I don't know what this is." And of course it explodes and bad guys come out. Which is funny because to me, like, whenever I watch this, I was always like, this feels more like the Joker.
Yeah, I think that is one of the weirdest things about his gang is that, I mean, it makes sense. It
does make sense because they're circus folk.
Yeah, and he's a carny. They're carnies.
They're carnies, yeah. They're all like.
But the fact that a lot of them are clowns makes it.
Well, they think, don't they say in a bit, they're like, oh, it's the Red Triangle Gang. And he's like, yeah, we'll see. You wonder whether that they just think it's just a different gang at this point. And then you get the guy with the monkey who comes out with a minigun and starts shooting the tree with a minigun.
Yeah, you get what's his name? Vincent.
I love that guy. He's so good. I like him in everything he's in. I'm like, that guy is so weird. I love him.
So kind of like Jack Nicholson and what's his name? The guy who played Bob. Danny DeVito basically got Vincent.
He totally.
Because they're friends, and he got him the part of the monkey organ grinder, I guess, is what his character is.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be an organ, isn't it? That thing he's got, and he's got the monkey. So
yeah, so he shoots the Christmas tree with a minigun. Then, as the police are turning up, the big guy throws like a chair at the car, and they're immediately like, "Oh my god, call Batman!" Like, forget it. Yeah. We can't deal with this. Not a chair.
You do sort of wonder whether that would be the progression of that, though.
Yeah, you kind of think that, right? You're like, oh, he'll deal with it.
And shit turns up and gets nasty. You'd imagine people that would start triggering the whole quick get Batman.
Well, I think in a world, having worked in local government before, I think if you lived in a world where Batman really existed, and Batman wasn't arrested and was then accepted by the police force, they would totally start cutting funds to the police and being like, Batman could deal with it. Sod it.
Absolutely.
We got this guy now.
They'd be calling him out to fucking cats in trees and all sorts.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, the
which everybody knows is Superman's job.
Yeah. The commissioner obviously calls for Batman. We get the bat symbol in the sky. really weird that
Oh,
Bruce Wayne's got these big
so-
symbols hanging around his house in the shape of bats. These big mirrors.
It's the stupidest thing, but also the
It looks
fucking coolest
amazing.
thing.
I know.
It's so fucking cool. But
I
so
just-
stupid.
I just always imagine someone visiting Wayne Manor and being like, Bruce,
Yeah.
why have you got massive bat symbols up there?
Yeah.
That's weird. But it is a really cool visual.
There you are, stood in Bruce Wayne's study, having a nice conversation with Bruce Wayne, and all of a sudden this massive bat symbol comes through you, scares the crap out of you, and you're like, are you Batman?
Yeah, oh my god, I hadn't even considered that. What if the bat signal goes off at any time when he's got guests?
It's ridiculous, but it fucking so cool. I mean,
I don't know how else you do it. Maybe you'd have to have like a mirror behind him and he sees the reflection in the mirror or something, but it's not going to be the same because you get that great shot where he stands up from the desk and is just like enveloped in the signal.
That's what that whole
It's so cool
shot of him brooding. He's just sat there brooding.
I love that. That's what I want from my Batman. He's either training or brooding in the dark until Batman time.
He's either doing leaps and running around in the gym, or he's just
he's waiting. He's just brooding, waiting.
Miserable. And it's such the fucking lighting in this whole movie.
The way they light Batman, it's probably better lit in this film than any other movie. They have never lit Batman better than in this film.
No.
He looks amazing in some scenes.
Yeah.
So the clowns ask to speak to the man in charge, and the mayor comes up and they just punch him in the face, like, not you, not you, Shrek. And then of course,
I love Chip comes through because you'll have to get through me first. And I love that.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I love that. Like any normal, in any normal movie, a son's like, "Oh, save yourself, Dad," and the dad's like, "God no, I'm not gonna leave you, son." Max Shrek's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I'm off. Fuck this.
He's like, Chip, and he's like, "No, go, Dad, save yourself," and he's like, "Okay,
yeah,
then I will." So we see Shrek kind of running away, and we got the bikes coming along and stuff.
Some of I love the skull the big skull masks are so fucking cool.
They're very like Day of the Dead kind of style. I really love those. But I love all of it. The circus, like you got the fire breathing guy and the devil and
costume, and
it looks so cool and it's so comic booky,
Yeah. I still have the comic book adaptation of this.
Oh really? Oh, that is cool. And then of course in comes the Batmobile, which I think this is the film that kind of starts the trend of the Batmobile having a gadget for any given situation.
Yeah.
They kind of pushed it a little bit with the Batwing in the first one, where it's like, oh no, yeah, it's just in case I need to cut balloons, I've got this big pair of scissors on the front.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, I've got a thing to trip people up, and I've got a thing to go through tiny gaps. Should I find a tiny gap, I can make the car into like a bike thing to go through a tiny gap, and it's like any given situation the Batmobile can handle. But it makes a hell of an entrance here.
You see that? I mean, the Batmobile dashboard is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's basically it's just an airplane.
It's just it is. It's like an airplane cockpit.
It's a jumbo jet's cockpit.
Yeah. Now, given the amount of civilians, he does do an emergency stop before hitting a civilian. And it's like there are a lot of people running around to be driving this thing down the road. I mean, I know the Batmobile in Burton movies only goes about 5 miles an hour, but still.
Yeah, it can't turn.
And can't turn. I always loved that in the original where like, yeah, it's so impractical. Even Batman's like, yeah, okay, I need to shoot a flipping grappling hook to turn around corners. But of course here
is still the best looking Batmobile.
Oh,
hands down.
Between this and the animated series Batmobile, I adore this Batmobile. I don't think any Batmobile since has come close. If I could own a Batmobile, it would be this one or 66.
There were the 66.
For different reasons.
There were lots of different comic book versions of the Batmobile, which are all like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the 80s one.
Yeah, I like the ones with the big bat face on the front.
Yeah, I even love the really cool 30s one, which
oh yeah, when it's just a car with the bat thing on the front, yeah.
Yeah, which is it's kind of what you want, which is again always leads me into the fucking Tumblr, man. Fuck off.
Yeah. So
that thing should never have been the Batmobile.
It has the dumbest fucking story for like, oh, we're doing realistic Batman. It's like, oh, it's a bridging vehicle. I'm like, well, okay, bridging vehicles exist. And they're like, yeah, so this thing, it shoots over canyons towing. I'm like, fuck off. Realistic Batman, huh?
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of turning corners, we see this Batmobile can now turn on a dime because
it's got an extra special thing to turn it now,
just in case he wants to set someone on fire.
Yeah.
As he blasts the fire guy with the this Batman kills people, which I enjoy.
That fucking the flame guy who's burning toys in the department store and stuff.
Yes, just being an asshole.
When he turns the jet on him, there is no way that dude, if he survives, he is not going to be in good shape.
Well, don't worry, because later on, Batman's going to attach dynamite to someone and kick them down a sewer.
Yeah.
So he doesn't care. I've always thought Batman clearly kills people. Like, he just does. Like, it's ludicrous to think that he doesn't, given half the stuff he does in comics and in movies. At least Keaton's Batman is honest about it. He's like, nah, fuck him.
Keaton, apparently that's the scene with the strongman and the bomb is Keaton's favourite scene.
It's one of mine. It is one of my favourite scenes. It's the look he gives, Yeah. It's that look down. I love it. And the lighting of him when he does it. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
But Selina Kyle's getting attacked, and Batman wanders in and saves the day. You get the guy's like, "Oh, you missed." It's like, nah, Batman doesn't miss. And of course he pulls the wall out from behind him. But Selina Kyle she tries talking to him, doesn't she? And he just walks away.
She's, wow, the Batman, or is it just
Batman?
Yeah.
And I love when he goes, she finds the stun gun, and she's like, oh, I walked away like every man in my life. And then she sees the guy, like the guy's knocked out on the floor. She's like, well, there's you, but you've got issues.
You need therapy. I love the fact that she's still trying that speech is like soaking wet and fucked, and she's still trying to collect all the bits of it.
Yeah, she's still trying to get the speech. She's like, no, I can still save this.
Yeah. Like, I think it's way past.
I don't think the speeches are going to continue, Selina.
No, I think it's over now. I think you can just leave it.
I love to think, like, imagine if at the end of this movie she turns up in the full Catwoman garb, all messed up like she's at the end of the movie. She finds Max Schreck and she just hands him the speech. She's like, oh, I got your speech.
Yeah.
So Batman's like, wandering back to the Batmobile while the commissioner's talking to him. He's barely listening to him. He's just like, oh, fuck off, Commissioner, I'm busy. Because he basically says, oh, there's the Red Triangle gang again, and he's like, oh, we'll see, and just wanders off. And that's when the mayor's like, where's that son of a bitch Max Schreck? Who of course fell down a hole into the sewer. It was like a comic trapdoor.
Yeah, like how they knew he was going to fall. I was going to get to that one. Is I mean, I guess they could have.
Oh god, there's when you start doing that, how did they know the plans to the Batmobile and make a Batmobile arcade machine to drive the Batmobile?
There is actually a thing for that.
Is there?
In the script,
right?
It was supposed to be a disgruntled employee that designed the Batmobile.
Okay.
And they just got rid of it completely. Because there was also going to be one of the things with the fixing the Batmobile. I think was going to be Robin was going to be a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
And it was going to be him that sort of repaired the Batmobile and stuff. But of course,
interesting. It's interesting to know that the plot holes once were not plot holes and became plot holes because of Tim Burton ripping half the movie out.
Pretty much, yeah.
So Max Schreck falls down a hole and ends up in the Arctic section of the zoo.
Yeah.
Starting the trend of all of Batman's villains apparently hanging out in the most obvious place they can hang out. Like, oh, he's a penguin. Where would a penguin hang out? Huh, the zoo.
Burton loved Killing Joke, and so the abandoned
Oh, it's such a good visual, and the miniature they used to fly around the zoo looks so.
Oh yeah,
cool.
the shots of them coming along it's fucking great.
It's so cool.
I love the whole like that, like this was the amazingest zoo. It's got that massive crab statue that they go around.
the giant polar bear, and
So I love the decay of it all. It just looks amazing.
Yeah, it is incredible. So Shrek is introduced to the penguin, played wonderfully.
It's such a great the first vision of him feeding his babies.
Yeah,
and he's got that hi. It's like I believe the word you were looking for is ah.
My favorite reaction is Max Schreck's when he's like, "It's true, the penguin man of the sewer," and he puts like he puts his handkerchief up to his mouth like he's just disgusted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he
again keeping up with the expressionist sort of German thing.
Oh yeah, it is all over this movie. You're absolutely right.
The part of the penguin's design is very much Dr. Caligari. It's got that top hat and sort of ragged coat and things, and it looks great.
I would say as well, in this scene and later scenes, I think they did a tremendous job with the animatronic penguins.
Oh yeah,
they look really convincing in some scenes.
Rick Baker made like 30 of them.
Yeah, and they all look amazing.
And you've got the real penguins mixed in as well, which helps.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like animatronics close up, they normally look quite janky. These look really good.
Oh, they're great. They're really cool. I think Christopher Walken said that apparently the little penguins are really aggressive.
Right.
But the really big ones apparently you could pet. They were like cats. Apparently they really liked being petted.
So the penguin tells Shrek that he's been down in the sewer too long and he wants to make a return to the public. And he's got a number of umbrellas, including the one that he's like, Shrek's like, "Are you trying to hypnotize me?" And he's like, "No, I'm just going to give you a splitting headache."
Yeah, it's not working.
I always wonder who makes like the Joker's like famous line of like, who makes these wonderful toys? Like, who makes the Joker's umbrellas?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are people in the comics that they fleshed out for that sort of thing. I think like the Toy Man or something. There's bound to be one guy because you've got the what's his name? There's the guy for the villains. There's the reverse of Oracle. He was one of the what was it? Was it not Clock King? Who was it? Who's the? Because the villains do have a guy they go to for all the sort of
I'm sure they do.
And he was initially one of those naff like throwaway characters that
well, like Turk just keeps turning up.
Yeah, it's just something. But in the comics they sort of went, actually we can take this character and make him good.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't remember which fucking character it is that they did it with. But yeah, so they I know in the comics they did something. So there probably are plenty of characters that make all the toys for the Penguin and the Joker.
I guess so. I like there is a moment there, and this is one of the things I really like about Danny DeVito's Penguin. Although he's nothing like the comic, and neither is Catwoman. They're their own thing, and it's fine. I love. There are moments where you genuinely feel for him, and I like that in this scene he does, like, after the gun thing. He's like, look, I want to know my parents' name. I want to, live like normal people do. And he does make a genuine, seemingly genuine plea to Max.
Yeah.
And Max just like, why would I help you? Like, why would I do that?
Yeah. I think I think it's kind of, I've always felt anyway that it's always been sort of implied that he knew who his parents were anyway.
I always wondered whether he killed his parents, to be honest.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? And if you think of it that way, then by association, you probably get to the point where, I think he's killed it. Because there are suggestions when Batman's looking up the circus stuff, and there's all those the suggestions that every time this circus with the Penguin Man turned up, children disappeared.
Yes. Yeah,
So
it's quite sinister.
there's plenty of suggestions that the penguin is actually just a horrible creature. He's killed.
He's a child killer, yeah.
Yeah, he's killed kids. So, you know, I think it's one of those sort of flash and you'll miss it things. But
yeah, it's not overtly stated, but I think it's heavily implied.
If you think about it, he's definitely a full on monster.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you said, he can turn on the. You know, he's a carny. He can turn on the charm. He can.
Yeah.
He can turn on the waterworks to sort of, you know, to seem like he's a misunderstood and not the monster that everybody betrays him as.
Yeah. So the penguin starts going through the reasons why Max would help him. He produces the toxic waste from his chemical plant.
Yeah, from your clean textiles plant.
And he's like, that doesn't prove anything. And if I had any documents proving that, I would have shredded them. And of course, he produces the shredded papers. He's like, sticky tape and a lot of patience go a long way. And then he starts talking about his assistant.
Yeah.
And he's like, I believe he's on extended vacation. And of course, the penguin reminds him, he's like, if you flush it, I flaunt it. He's like, anything you've thrown away, anything you've disposed of, I have access to. So he's gonna basically blackmail Shrek, which of course, you know, Shrek then being the businessman, he's like, Mr. Penguin, maybe I can help, you know, orchestrate. And of course, you know, the cogs are turning in his head where he's like, I can make this guy mayor.
Yeah,
like Shrek's already thinking
it's
like
it's a ridiculous idea, but it's like, yeah, this could work.
Yeah, it really cannot work, but they're gonna give it the old college try. And I love that they shake on it and he gives him the severed hand.
Yeah, I love that. It's your friend's hand.
We then see Selena come home to her house, and this scene plays out the same later when she's like resurrected, which I quite like.
It's the light the fucking light in the second version is amazing. She comes in as a hi honey sort of thing. It's like, I forgot, I don't have anybody sort of thing.
Yeah, and then the cat comes in, she feeds the cat, and
Miss Kitty back from more sexual escapades.
Yeah. And she starts making her bed while listening to voicemails. And the first, I think, is her mother asking her if she's coming over for Christmas, and she's like, no. Because doesn't her mum start like bitching at her or something?
Yeah, you know, it's typical, like, you don't talk to me, why are you, you know, you should be calling your mother sort of thing.
Yeah. The next is like a boyfriend who's cancelling on her.
Yeah.
Or a potential boyfriend.
I think that's Tim Burton's voice, actually.
Oh, is it? Amazing. So. And yeah, so he's like cancelling their Christmas plans?
Yeah, they were supposed to be going away.
Which is a really hard one.
She says, maybe I should have let him win that last racquetball.
Yeah, because doesn't he say like, my therapist says I shouldn't be treated like an appendage. Yeah, and she's like, some appendage.
Person and not an appendage. She's like, oh Jesus. And then you get the Lady Gotham.
Yes, the Lady Gotham perfume.
Yeah. I do love the way that it's like the robotic Selena Kyle voice.
And then of course the next message, the final message, is Selena calling herself to remind her that there's a meeting with Bruce Wayne the following day or something, and so she has to go all the way back to the office. And I like that she left the message knowing she would have forgotten. I've done this before.
Yeah,
leaving messages for my future self. Not on a voicemail, but I have, you know, set alarms and reminders to remind myself that I'm gonna forget things. So of course she heads back to the office, and she's bloody exhausted by the time Max Shrek catches her working away. And she says, sorry, I've been working late. I'm getting ready for the meeting with Bruce about the power plant tomorrow. And she says, I've got everything in order, and I even access. I don't know why she says this. She's like, I even opened your protected files. It's like, that's a terrible idea.
So dumb and trusting.
I love the way he's like, how industrious.
Yeah. Like, I like I figured out your password. It's Geraldo, your pet chihuahua.
Yeah.
And again,
who is stuffed on the fucking filing cabinet, by the way.
Yeah. Again, the lighting is amazing because
it's great.
You get the lighting coming up at Michelle Pfeiffer's face, and her glasses frame her face like the old Catwoman domino mask.
Yes.
Which is really fucking cool that they even just thought of that as a really nice little touch.
It is brilliant. And I also think even the lighting on Shrek in this scene is fantastic as well.
Yeah. Amazing. You don't need much to sort of make Christopher Walken intimidating, to be honest.
Especially not with the hair and the eyebrows they gave him.
Apparently, the casting director didn't want to cast him because he was so afraid of him.
I honestly think he like everyone always talks about Danny DeVito in this movie or Michelle Pfeiffer. I love Christopher Walken in this movie.
Yeah, he's great.
I love him.
He's amazing, and this is another one of those. So. Originally, they wanted David Bowie for the role.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that too. And the funny thing is also around this time you get he was Max Zorin in Beautiful Kill.
Mm-hmm.
That part was originally what Bowie was wanted for that part as well. So it's like
oh wow,
2 characters that Walken got that were originally wanted for Bowie.
Oh. Selena just keeps... I guess she gets nervous, and she just talks when she's nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So she then says, oh, I was reading up about how your power plant's actually going to suck power out of Gotham.
Yeah.
She's like, that's a very novel approach.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, who would you talk to about this? And she's like, no one. And he starts bullying her, and she's just like, why would you pick on someone so meaningless? I think she says. And he says this power plant is my legacy. I'm gonna give this to my retarded son Chip. He's clearly never gonna work a day in his life.
Yeah, bless him. He needs all.
He needs help. He's not good at anything other than football. So he basically threatens her. She starts crying, and then he laughs like, it was all a joke. I'm not gonna do anything.
And he goes, And it's like immediately like, she does that nervous giggle. It's like, for a moment there, it's like, no. And he turns around and then boom, straight out the window.
Yeah, and you get that great shot when she goes through all the canvases.
Yeah, it's so. I love how quick and how
it feels very violent.
You feel every thwack as she goes through those awnings and dunk.
And then Cat's magic happens.
Yeah. All the cats turn up, and then what I love about, I think
it's a great visual. I don't know what
it's a fantastic visual, but... and I like. So I think they used a sort of a stand-in dummy, I think, for most of that shot,
and then covered her in food or something.
But then they covered it. They literally covered her in tuna.
That works.
You think you think well they did use a dummy, but they clearly are shots where.
Oh no, it's clearly her in some shots.
There's a cat literally putting his mouth right inside her.
Well, later on, she'll have a bird in her mouth. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's the cat puts his face in her mouth, and then there was one cat chewing on her finger. I mean, it might not have
That's
been her,
presumably not her finger, but yes.
But somebody's finger, and it looks so painful.
Yeah, I love the shot when she opens her eyes as well.
Yeah, it's like the flickering of the eyelids, the fluttering.
And when she fully opens them, and it's just like that dead stare.
So you get the fluttering, and then the full-on mad glare when she opens her eyes.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get the repeat of the previous scene, but this time she's like zombie, and she knocks over the light. She's still saying the same lines. She pours the milk for the cat, but spills it everywhere.
Yep.
And
she's drinking it out of the carton. It's just going all over. And the Lady Gotham.
That's what sets her off, right?
Yeah.
Because it talks about your boss will want you for a midnight soiree or something.
Your boss will basically, you'll have a midnight dinner, candlelit dinner with your boss, and it's like, oh dear, that was the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And she screams and throws the milk carton away,
and then I love starts killing all of her stuffed toys and stuff
all over her hair, and just looks completely unhinged. And
she starts killing all of her stuffed toys in the
Yeah.
in the blender.
It's the no, it's the what do they call it? The
Well, it's a food blender thing that they chuck in
no,
the...
it's the food disposal, isn't it?
Yeah,
unit?
it's a blender. It just blends it up so that it fits down the pipes.
Yeah.
No. And then of course she starts smashing the place up with like frying pans and spray paint that she's got for reasons.
Yeah. And I like the hello there turns in. She smashes the neon sign to hell here.
Mm-hmm. And then she finds like a PVC or leather trench coat, which she makes the entire outfit out of.
And some spark ignites, and then she's starts furiously sewing.
Yeah.
I love the whole her putting on the glove and finding the thimbles with the. I mean, I don't know whether those things are real. Like,
I have often wondered that myself, but I've
thimbles with some sort of.
I mean, they might be real. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's for picking something, or I don't know what exactly they would be for.
It's for stabbing Batman.
They look fucking awesome on her fingers.
They do look awesome on her fingers, yeah. And me not knowing anything about sewing, I bought it. I was like, yeah, I guess that could be a thing. I don't know. Maybe it is.
I'm sure it is. I mean, some of them look. I mean, it's very Burton. It's very Edward Scissorhands. They're like all these like little spurs that go off in different directions and things.
I'm sure they don't look that violent in real life. If they do exist,
they're not neat looking things. They're all like janky and vicious looking.
Yeah. So yes, so she is now Catwoman,
and I love the whole. I mean, the cool thing is you don't get a full on proper reveal because you
get the silhouette, which is all you need.
You see her, but you're not close. You're like across the road sort of thing, almost looking in in the window,
looking through the window.
And she comes in and she says, "I don't know about you, Miss Kitty, but I feel so much yummier."
Yeah. And
immediately that just sets the complete tone for her Catwoman.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Apparently that the suit was basically, I think I can't remember how many she went through, but there was a fucking lot, and they were at like $1,000 a time.
Jesus.
And
this movie did make enough money to offset that, though. To be fair.
And she said basically that she was vacuumed into each suit.
Yeah.
She couldn't breathe in the corset.
I am not surprised.
Apparently, she could only do so many lines and things before she was in danger of passing out.
Yeah.
She said
they had that problem with 7 of 9 on Voyager, right? That first suit they made, she literally passed out. I think they were like, "You're gonna kill her." Like that's ludicrous.
It was the ribbing and stuff.
Yeah, it was the neckline, I think, wasn't it?
I think it was a combination of the hips, so she had those like ridges on the hips and stuff, and under her ribs, and it was just awful for her.
just like, what are you doing? You're gonna kill this woman.
Yeah,
it's like it looks awesome, but she's going to die.
Yeah.
So,
and so she said the boots like thrusted her forward so that she couldn't walk properly.
Which is weird because she's such an acrobatic character.
Yeah. And she says the mask squished her face and she couldn't hear. So apparently there's a number. Burton had to keep saying to her, "You don't need to shout your lines.
But to her, she's like
shouting." So it was clearly not a thing that she enjoyed doing. And I think I think it was a journalist years later said to her, have you ever found the costume and have you ever like put it on for your husband?" And she said, "Once I was done with that costume, I never wanted to see it ever again."
I'm not surprised.
But she did find the whip.
Oh, okay.
I think during COVID, and she did. She said she was a bit rusty, but she did, and you can see there are. She filmed herself using it.
Oh, cool.
Because that whole thing with the whip was she did that herself.
Yeah, there's YouTube footage of the actual scene of her doing it.
I love
the cast afterwards. Like that was amazing.
I mean, she did that whole scene in one take.
It's impressive to watch.
And I like the fact that she did. The guy who taught her how to use the whip, she said one of the first things she did was she cut his face.
I imagine that happens a lot.
Yeah, and apparently he was a complete gentleman and just got on.
I just imagine that's probably part of the job,
like,
to be honest.
Yeah, just got on with it. It's like brilliant.
Yeah. So, the mayor is giving a speech about how crime will not continue in the city, and then his child gets stolen by a clown immediately.
Yeah.
But of course, it's all a big setup as we hear that the clown jumps down the sewer, and then he's like, "Oh my god, the hideous penguin man!" And we see him giving the baby to the penguin, who then comes up on this big duck.
Of the duck, yeah.
Which makes no sense because he, like, the head of the duck would burst through the ground.
Yeah,
it's fine. Don't think about it.
I mean, I guess for the
maybe the seat comes up further at the end.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For the final bit, the seat comes up. I guess.
I don't care. It's such a cool visual of him coming out of the sewer that it doesn't matter. It just looks so cool with him holding the baby when he comes up.
Yeah, and I love the way, again, trying to be that damaged person. He's sheltering his eyes from the light,
from the cameras. Yeah.
Sort of hunched over and oh no, please don't look at me, sort of thing. It's brilliant.
And I love that, like, Bruce is watching. Oh God, I love his fireplace. By the way, that ludicrous fireplace. It's like the most ridiculous fireplace.
That whole room is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. It's one of the few scenes because you don't see much of Wayne Manor in this one, other than like the brooding room and this room. I like. You must like say to Alfred, "I'll be in the brooding room." That's where I go to brood. And I love, like, Alfred's making the tree behind him, and like Bruce is watching the Penguin news thing, and he's saying about how he wants to find his parents and stuff, and Bruce is like, you know, because he's like, oh, I want to find forgiveness with my parents who must have, you know, couldn't deal with that. I was born a little different and all of this. And Alfred's like, are you all right, sir? And Bruce is like, his parents, I hope he finds them. And I love that in the very next scene, he's like, nah, fuck him. He's a bad guy. I'm sure of it. He's like, he believes him for like 5 minutes. And then he's like, no.
Yeah. But I mean, they never really do the whole detective thing, but it's
so you get the impression that maybe some time has passed.
Sort of speak to that sort of but you know, I've given it some thought, and I should treat everything like a puzzle.
Yes.
So you know, I want to find out about him,
and maybe he found out that his parents died under mysterious circumstances, and it all kind of adds up. You never know.
But I do love the initial, you know, the initial thought of this poor hideous penguin man is what he wants is to find his parents, and that completely would speak to.
Oh, of course it would speak to Bruce. I do wonder, because the next scene is the Hall of Records with Max Schreck, and I wonder whether Bruce is like, once he starts hanging around with Max Schreck, he's like,
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That is kind of what sets it off. It's like, well, fucking Max Schreck's clearly a bloody villain, so that's the reason that he would probably be a villain too.
Yeah, and of course Shrek's got him dressed pretty nice. Well, pretty nice, reasonably nice. He's got the fur coat and the white shirt, even though it's still stained and gross. It's kind of like, it's better than what he was wearing in the sewer.
Yeah, he's got the full-on suit and
but it's still gross. Like, it's a suit, but it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I think he just oozes constantly.
Well, I think the reason for that apparently is that he's got some kind of lung condition.
Okay.
So that's why he's.
That's horrible.
Yeah, he's got some sort of lung condition, which means he's
been living in a sewer. He's probably got black lung, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what finishes him in the end.
Oh, I always thought he fell in toxic waste or something, and that was the end of him.
Yeah, well, I think it's sort of open to interpretation, but I think the actual idea is that it's the black lung or whatever.
He just succumbs to illness.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so he's looking in the Hall of Records. Meanwhile, Bruce is in the Batcave looking him up. And we get the Vichyssoise.
Yes.
Which I love. He's like, it's cold. He's like, it's supposed to be cold. And then he just starts eating it like normal. He's like, oh, okay, then I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, I think this is disgusting, therefore I'm not going to eat it. He's like, oh, well, now you said it's meant to be disgusting. I guess I'll just eat it. It's fine.
Yeah, because I think it again. It speaks to that whole. Well, it's just fuel anyway. So
yeah, he just doesn't understand. I feel like Alfred must go spare. Like he's like, I put so much effort into this fucking food, and you just don't give a shit.
Alfred could just give him anything, beans on toast or something, and I think he wouldn't give a
he wouldn't care. But Alfred still puts the effort in, you know.
Yeah, I think it's just the initial shock of, oh, it's cold soup. Why the fuck would you give me cold soup?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, if that was me and Alfred was like, it's supposed to be cold, I'd be like, could it be hot though?
Yeah,
could we do that?
Right?
I'm literally sat in a bat cave.
Yeah, the bat cave's
really cold.
Right?
And I do love that when Bruce finds like the evidence of the children going missing, Alfred's like, I suppose you're happy now, sir, and Bruce is like, no, not really.
Because even Alfred buys it, because he says he does call him at one point the heroic penguin man.
Yes, the heroic penguin man. Well, Alfred's still eating crow after he told that newsboy that it was a load of crap.
Yeah.
It's like, well. And then we get to see Batman on patrol, which I quite like, when he's driving around in the Batmobile. Which, if that thing is like a jet-powered, that must be like the most expensive patrol. Like, how much do you reckon the Batmobile costs to fuel? Like, it's got that massive jet in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's a billionaire, but,
The 60s one was nuclear-powered, wasn't it?
Yes, it was nuclear-powered, which presumably is the cleanest and most efficient fuel and will last forever.
Yeah.
You buy that once, and then that's it. You never have to refuel that fucking thing.
My guess would be that this would be a similar thing.
I guess it probably is, yeah. You get the great, obviously it's a great shot. It's Tim Burton. The graveyard shot.
Yeah.
Tailor-made for Tim Burton, so of course it looks amazing.
That's it, isn't it? It's the most Tim Burton movies.
Yeah. And he lays the single rose with his parents. I always find it weird that the penguin's like, it's like, you're enough of a freak anyway. But there's that weird bit when he does the press conference and he's like, a shiny flipper. And it's like, those are gloves though. Like, you're weird enough. You didn't have to lie about having flippers. That's really weird. Because then it's like, how were you even made? Like, so you genuinely are part penguin? Like, what is this? Are you a cryptid?
What is it? The thing? Is it monodactyly or something? It's where your fingers are born when you're fused. So he's.
That would have been enough. I don't think you had to pretend that you genuinely were a penguin-human hybrid.
Yeah.
And of course they try to call him Penguin here at the graveyard, and he's like, Penguin is a bird that cannot fly. I have a name. I'm a man. And of course he reveals that he is Oswald Cobblepot. And yeah, it's like, oh well, yeah. I think one of the press guys is like, oh, you'll never get to settle with them, huh? You'll never get to settle with them. And he's like, well, I was their number one son. They treated me like number two.
Yeah.
And he says, like, it's in the human nature to fear to fear the unknown. And of course, then of course the press pick it up and they're like, oh my god, the penguin forgives his parents. It's a Christmas story. It's so lovely.
Yeah. And again, another thing that was thrown away, it was going to be revealed that Max Schreck was his brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
I quite like that, actually.
Yeah, I like that idea as well, that he was going to be the second son, so he got all the stuff. So
that kind of works.
His revenge would have been against him. Because
that would have been a nice twist if he found that out later.
I don't know why they got rid of that. I think that would have been a nice story. It's one of those. It's maybe slightly cliched, but I think it would have worked fine.
I like it. Meanwhile, woman is getting mugged, and Catwoman sort of saves the day, I guess, and then threatens her.
Yeah, he does save her.
He does save her. I mean,
I love the whole tic-tac-toe thing on his face.
Yeah, that was great.
Those calls.
And then the woman's like, oh, thanks. And she just immediately grabs her face and is just like, you make it so easy for them, don't you? And I love the I am Catwoman, hear me roar. And then just does ludicrous backflips for like miles.
Yep. She's obviously from the I can't remember what his name was. The first villain in Highlander. She's obviously
Oh,
from
the guy in the car park.
Yeah, she's obviously from this school of backflips.
Is it like Frazier or something like that? His name is.
Yeah.
Facile. Is that, or is Facile the? I can't remember. It's been a while.
Oh, it's Fazil the friend.
I think Frazile's the friend on the bridge, isn't he?
Yeah.
I can't think who he is, but the asshole in the car park, I know the one.
Yes, the guy in the car park that does the weird backflips.
That is so out of place in that movie. We've reviewed Highlander, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
That is such a weird scene. Like, that scene would have been weird enough without the backflips. There was no need to add backflips to
It was
that.
Literally, the guy just said, well, I can do that. It's like, well, okay, then.
Well, I guess that's what you're doing, then. I hope you can do it for the full length of a car park.
He's a like famous stuntman. I can't remember his name, but he was in Raiders and all sorts. He's really good.
Well, I will say it works better here. Catwoman doing backflips is cool.
I mean, maybe that's because it's the nature of the cat sort of thing.
Yes, it works. She's agile and stuff. Max is having the meeting with Bruce that Selena was getting ready for, and he's fucking. I don't know what he was thinking in this. I don't know what Bruce is thinking in this meeting. Bruce is like, "Well, we don't need power," and he's like, "Yeah, there's no such thing as a surplus of power, Bruce." And he's like, "Well, you're working with a crook like Cobblepot." He's like, "He's working with the Red Triangle gang. I can't prove it yet." And I'm like, "Bruce, you're not Batman. You're Bruce Wayne. What are you talking about? Red Triangle gang? Like, oh yes, I'm also a detective."
Yeah.
But Max doesn't seem to question it at all.
No.
And he's like, "Bruce, shame on you." And he say like, "Oh, do you want to go 6 rounds with Mohammed Shrek?"
Yeah, something like that.
And he's like, you'll lose. And he's like, "Well, I guess we're gonna find out." And of course, as they're arguing,
he says, "Was it if my assistant were here right now, she'd be seeing you out."
She'd be seeing you, and doesn't she say like wherever you want to go or something like that? She's like immediately flirty.
Yeah.
And of course Chip comes in with her, and he's just completely confused about everything. He's like, Selena. She's like, "That's my name, Maximilian. Don't wear it out, or I'll make you buy me a new one."
Don't wear it out, I'll make you buy a new one. Yeah.
I love like how weird she is and how sinister. Like, she talks about the time she forgot her knickers or something, or pants to school, and the guy who found out was some kid who's dead now, and it's like a funny story, and then she just turns into like, he's dead now. It's so good. And Bruce is like immediately like, "Oh my god, this woman is as fucked up as I am. I love her." And I love that. "Oh, I met you before," and she's like, "No, we haven't." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I mistook me for somebody else," and she's like, "You mistook me for somebody else."
It's a great line.
It's a fantastic line, and it's so Keaton's Batman. Keaton's Bruce would totally say that. And that's one of the things, like, I do like. I like the thing is, it's not like comic book Bruce Wayne, but I do like how goofy Keaton's Bruce Wayne is. Like, everyone thinks he's a dumbass, and I really like that. He kind of does that like second Doctor thing, where it's like people think he's like a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, it's like it's like Edmund Dantes in Zorro. It's
exactly.
Whole, like, not Edmund Dantes is Zorro. That's can't remember Chris.
Well, Zorro anyway.
What's his bloody name in Zorro? Edmund Dantes is Count of Monte Cristo. Zorro is
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, it's Antonio Banderas. I forget what his bloody name is, but
no, I don't know.
He's that sort of dandy. He's that idiot.
Yes,
dandy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's the sort of that Keaton's Wayne kind of is.
I like it, and it fits in with the Zorro origin of Batman as well. Which is cool.
Yeah.
But I love how he's like, he sees this woman he pushed out of a window yesterday, and he's just like, "Oh, your skiing accident, yes? That skiing accident you had. Did you lose your memory after the skiing accident?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, it's a blur." But she's like, oh, not total amnesia, which is when she talks about the
she
Ricky
goes
kid.
through the whole these whole sort of weird things that she remembers, and says, but yesterday total blur.
But I love how she's like, but yesterday a total blur. Couldn't you just die? And it's like she just keeps like dropping little hints that she knows, and that it's like.
And I do love the sort of the more confident Selena's got this sort of really cool hairdo, and she's her cost, her clothes have changed.
She's totally
Just
she's
the
totally
whole
changed.
way she acts is more sort of in your face.
Yeah.
Zorro is Don Diego de la Vega.
Yes, of course. I love that Max is then just like, oh fuck it, okay, see Mr. Bruce Wayne out then.
Yeah.
Just do it. And then Chip's like, Dad, what? I thought she was dead. What's going on, Dad? I don't understand.
I love the just the nonchalant way he says women.
Yeah.
It's like he's just accepted. It's fine.
And then he says, if she messes with me, I'll drop her out of a bigger window.
Out of a
higher window. That's amazing. Selena takes Bruce to the elevator, and like Bruce is completely besotted with her. And he's like, oh, maybe I'll take you out for dinner. I'm tempted. And she's like, I'm working. And then the lift starts closing. He's like, I'm leaving. So he's like, well, if she does remember, I will murder her again. Until then, never mind. Max pays a visit to Oswald, who is working on his memoirs or something. And his clown people are also up there in the loft of this building.
I love that room. It's like a massive room, and it's just him and a desk at one corner, and then you've got a bed on the other corner, and then they're just sort of all sat in like a pile next to the
they're just sat there like watching him write his hit list, because it's basically a hit list, right? Because Catwoman sees it later and she's like, you've already got a kill list, like. Shrek comes up and offers him a fucking fish. I always thought it'd be really way more funny if the penguin was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like, give me a cheeseburger. What's wrong with you? I'm not actually a penguin, but of course it's Tim Burton's fucking world, so he is actually.
But he was literally brought up by penguins.
I know. He loves the raw fish. So of course he's tempted downstairs with the raw fish, and with a raw fish in his mouth, it is revealed that he is going to run for mayor. And he's got this whole team of staff there who they do the Edward Scissorhands thing here, where the staffers are all super colorful, and we got big balloons everywhere, and it's all like sugary sweet. A lot like you get in the contrast in Edward Scissorhands, which is great. I always love it when he does this.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because you got these lovely people, they're like perfectly manicured, colorful people clapping and happy, and you cut back to him with this fucking fish falling out of his mouth and like pus everywhere. He's just absolutely foul.
The things about Burton's use of color is so fucking amazing.
It is.
You get all the crowd scenes in Gotham Center. Almost everybody's wearing grey. Almost everyone. There's the odd flash of color. One or two people maybe have a red coat here or there.
Yes.
But almost everybody is wearing some black and grey, really.
Yeah. So yeah, they try to give Oswald the cigarette, with the long cigarette.
Your birthright gives him the cigarette holder.
And then the stylist tries putting actual gloves on him, and it's like, that's not going to work.
He says, the voters have decided that they like seeing fingers.
Our data suggests that
sure.
voters like fingers. Brilliant.
We'll just cut away his deformity, shall we, and put normal gloves on him. Fine.
And then the sleazy makeup guy.
Josh and Jen. Josh says, not a lot of reflective surfaces in the sewer. And then you think, why would you? They're awful people. Why would you say that to him?
I love when he's like, it could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood, and the guy's like, what do you mean?
everybody's just laughing, and I love even he cuts to Max and he's laughing. He's got this weird expression on his face.
Sorry.
Completely chomps onto his nose.
Yeah. There's like blood everywhere, and then Max is like, right, that's enough fucking around. Go make a bear.
Yeah,
make this happen.
And I love the thing about is it something about filling the void? And he says I like to fill her void.
Yeah, and she gives that look back, just horrified. And of course he says, we're he's like, isn't the mayor's not like, the mayor's only just got in, right? So you can't just have another mayor. And he's like, don't worry about it. I got people. Isn't it like November or something?
Yeah, something like that. I was going to say auditions, not auditions. Elections are in November. And
this is December. Yeah.
And another thing that makes me laugh about that whole situation so you've got him upstairs.
Yeah.
You've got the whole gang sat by the stairway, right? And somehow they moved that entire Cobblepot for mayor group in downstairs, and not one of them.
Yeah, how long was he writing that list for?
Yeah, they not one of them heard it and went to investigate the noise from downstairs.
Yeah, you are there to be his henchman. You're not doing a very good job.
It's terrible guards he's got.
I love how Max says to Oswald, hey, I could make you be mayor. And Oswald immediately makes it into some perverted fantasy. Out loud, he's like talking about, like, I need you. And all of this shit.
And again, keeping very in 30s Germany, he mentions the fire in the Reichstag and stuff.
Yeah, the Gulf of Tonkin and stuff. Yeah. And yeah, he's like, we need a good policy. And he's like, start global. He's like, stop global warming, start global cooling.
Global cooling.
And he says, he basically, like, doesn't he, like, pretty much convince Oswald to run for mayor? He's like, unlimited poontang. And Oswald's like, okay, I'm in. And then, like, he, like, says to the with blood coming from his mouth, he says to his staffers, burn, baby, burn, as he walks up the stairs. And I love the cut. It, like, immediately cuts from that to, like, a fucking Pomeranian walking along with a hand grenade.
Yeah, the poodle.
Oh, it's a poodle. Yeah. It's like a miniature poodle or something.
I love the poodle lady.
Yeah, she's great.
So great, the poodle lady.
Because she's also the lady making the announcements at the end, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's, like, completely emotionless.
Yeah.
She's like, the world is coming to an end. So good.
My favourite bit is the bit with the boomerang when we get to it.
Oh yeah, when he programs the boomerang.
Yeah,
that's great.
I mean, that's fucking ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. He does some calculations on the spot there, but we're getting to that very soon because Batman starts beating up everyone in the street now because there's more clowns around. And as the first film established, Batman hates clowns, so he's gonna punch them all. We get some good fighting though. There's a lot more Batman action in this movie.
Yeah, and I think
we see him a lot more.
Keaton said that because he couldn't turn his head, he had to make his lower body movements more dramatic.
I think it works really well. It looks fine.
Yes.
So yeah, we do get the thing when everyone stops to wait for Batman to program into his Batarang who to hit.
Yeah.
And of course it goes to hit. It hits everyone except the poodle lady, and the poodle catches it, right?
Yeah, because the poodle catches it. Yeah.
But I love that scene had no purpose whatsoever, other than some fucking special effects guy was like, "I think I could make this," and someone was like, "Okay, cool, do it." Like, great.
Yep. Yeah.
I
mean, obviously, it sets up for later as well.
Of course, it does. Yeah, it works later, but yeah, and then of course we cut to Selina with the famous shot of her in front of the Max Schreck window.
Yeah,
the department store window.
Yeah, we've not really mentioned
the cat
his
face.
Symbol is a cat. Yeah, he's got that cat symbol.
For no reason. I don't really know the reason, but it is a cool symbol.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a cat. It's like a Mickey Mouse style.
It's a sort of Felix the Cat sort of
thing. Yeah. It's like a mascot.
Again, very 30s cartoon cat.
Yeah, very 30s. So she goes to Sporting Goods and just starts cutting off heads of the mannequins there. And I love that the security guards come across her, and one of them's like, "I think I'm in love."
Yeah, I don't know. Was it? I don't know whether to shoot her or fall in love or something.
Yeah.
And she says, "Is it you boys always mixing up your pistols with your privates?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, our take home was only is it $300 or something?"
Yeah.
And she says, "You're overpaid. Get out."
Yeah. So meanwhile, Batman's doing the 66. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. It's like walking along the street with the dynamite in his hand, punching people.
You get the was it the first one he punches that you get and throws? You get the Wilhelm scream.
Oh yes, you do get a Wilhelm scream. Do you know? Funny enough, earlier on I was like, I know there's a Wilhelm scream in this, but I can't remember where it is. It is here, isn't it? Is when he grabs the guy and he throws him over the railing.
Yeah.
And then of course here we get that great shot of the strong man.
Yep.
He's like, "Go ahead, hit me."
Hit me, yeah.
And he hits him, and then this is one of my favorite shots of Batman lit. Like the lighting on his face in this shot is so good.
It's the Michael Keaton has got a very sinister look when he wants to.
Oh yeah, when he smiles, it looks like he's going to murder someone for sure.
yeah. This is always why he
and he does. He does.
And as villain,
he straight up blows that guy up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can probably safely say that Batman kills at least 3 people in this movie.
He blew up a chemical plant in the last film, so he's killing far less this time around.
I mean, I think we can probably say that no one was in the chemical plant.
But you're still launching chemicals into the atmosphere.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he's lucky it didn't blow up more. I mean, chemical fires are bad.
Yeah. There's a section of Gotham that is
still uninhabitable to this day.
Yeah. It's still burning right now.
It still burns. It burns forever.
What's that over there? Oh, that's the old chemical factory that's just constantly burning. We just let it do its thing.
They get to Batman and Robin, and Mr. Freeze freezes the whole city, and everyone goes to the chemical factory fire to stay warm. It's like still burns.
Chemical factory. It's the warmest place to be.
So Catwoman's just being a dick. She gets like she sets off the gas, and then she puts like spray paint in the microwaves and stuff. Yeah. She's like, I'm just gonna blow this place up. Meanwhile, we get that great scene. I love the scene with Batman and Penguin.
Yeah.
When he's like surveying your handiwork, and he's like overseeing your handiwork, and he's like, surveying the wreckage, upstanding mayor stuff.
Yeah, surveying the devastation.
Yeah.
Upstanding mayor stuff.
And of course now he's fully dressed. He's got the top hat. He's got everything.
What is the thing he says something about? Oh, he says
straight to the point. I like that with a man.
You're not the mayor, and he says things change.
Yeah. And he's like straight to the point. I admire that from a man in a mask.
Yeah.
But of course they're interrupted by Catwoman with possibly the best entrance of anyone in a comic movie ever. It's so good. The meow with the explosion is incredible.
The flips and the way I love the way she sort of lifts her head up and she's got her hands like in front of her face and things.
But I like that she's all excited and then it's almost like she can't think what to say, so she's like, oh fuck it, meow. Of course Oswald the pervert is immediately like, I saw her first. I need her.
It's the best timed explosion as well, because immediately after she says meow, it's just like perfect. Love it.
It's really good. Oswald follows her on his umbrella helicopter.
Yeah, I like that. He says, I saw her first.
Yeah.
Gotta fly and gets on that brilliantly ridiculous helicopter umbrella.
Yeah. And of course we see Catwoman watches him as he goes past her, and she thinks like she's lost him, but of course Batman finds her and she kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then he punches her and she's like, how dare you, I'm a woman.
I'm a woman, yeah.
And then
I love that whole thing because it feels very much like he's not quite sure how to handle it because she's kicking the shit out of him and he's sort of he feels like he's half-heartedly defending himself.
Yeah, she kind of saves his life at one point because he falls off the ledge, right?
Properly punches her and is like immediately feels sorry for it.
Yeah, she kicks him off the roof, but then kind of saves his life with the whip. Batman, speaking of Axis chemicals, throws some unknown chemical at her.
Yeah,
it seems to do. God, do you see her arm later on? It's hideous.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell was that?
Acid.
That's how Two-Face starts.
Yeah, that's how Two-Face starts. Right, there's another thing. I will tell you that later about the Two-Face thing.
Oh, was Billy D meant to be in this?
Yes.
I would have loved that.
I'll tell you the thing about that later when we get to the end.
Okay.
She says, was it life's the bitch and now so am I? And that's when he throws the acid at her.
Yeah, he's like, no. Acid.
Yeah, eat acid.
It's like, I haven't got any dynamite anymore, but I have got acid. She then gets all sexy and she's like, maybe you could show me if the woman behind the cat, and I just want to meet the man behind the bat. And she feels around until she finds a squishy part and then stabs her nail in. So Batman punches her off of a building, which definitely intended on killing her. There's no way he knew that there was like a sand truck underneath.
No.
That was like a fuck you then die. Which is very
I will say the whole layout of these buildings are very confusing.
Yeah.
They sort of get punched off onto other bits that you think, okay, that I'm sure that didn't look like that a minute ago.
No, I mean nothing makes any sense.
It is a bit sort of.
We've got a driving scene later on with the same car in the back, the same parked car in the background, like 8-9 times or something.
There's every car there. I think it's a Brazilian VW.
Yeah, there's a scene later. It's right at the end when they're driving. It's when Alfred's driving Batman, and they've used the same stock footage eight times in a row. It cuts back to Bruce, and it's the same stock footage behind him, like almost every time. The same exact car is like behind him 8 times as they're driving. It's crazy. But yeah, so he punches her off of a building. She falls into a big sand truck, and of course she's like saved by Kitty Litter.
Yeah,
and I love when she looks at her eyes. She's like, bastard.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to really hurt. Not only she got acid in it, now she's got a load of like.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
That's gonna be painful.
I mean, that might have cleaned everything. That might have helped. Actually, the sand might have, it might have cleaned some of that out.
Probably not, but maybe, I don't know. Might stop the stinging. I don't.
And then we got the press tour continues where he, Cobblepot's like, it's turning crazed housewives into Catwomen, and
yeah, Boy Scouts into criminals and stuff. Yeah,
and then you got the girls who are like, "You're the greatest role model a woman could ever have," and he's like, "You're the hottest woman a man could ever have." It's like, please let me put these badges on your breast.
I love that when he goes up the stairs, he's going, it's
groping
all about
people.
Reaching out to people, touching people, groping people.
And of course when he gets upstairs, Catwoman is there waiting for him on the bed.
Yep. So I had
a poster.
That poster of the bed, right next to my bed.
Was it full size?
Not quite, but it was pretty fucking big. And I would wake up to that every morning. That's how much I loved Catwoman when I saw this movie. I had that poster there for years. I probably still got it somewhere. Not anymore. I mean, I don't think the wife. It
is a cool image.
It's a great picture. I don't think the wife would let me have it now, but
no, but it was a cool image. I've always loved as well, how it's one of the few outfits that you see villains have in comic book movies that actually looks handmade.
Yeah.
Like, you can see the stitching. You can see that she's used part of a corset.
Yeah.
You can see the bits, and I quite like that. It's not, it's not this perfect outfit.
It is. It's really cool. And I know they had trouble trying to make it look right as the sort of falling apart bits and things, because...
Yes. That's my favourite look.
It's terribly good to have to he's not very good at handling
No.
way. So
it's my favorite look is when she's got the hair poking out the top and she just looks like mental. I love that look.
You can see the sort of the beautiful contrast of her white flesh underneath, when you shoulder sort of peeking out.
Yeah, she is like porcelain fucking white in this as well.
Yeah.
I guess they did it to make her look dead as well. But
I mean, it kind of helps that Michelle Pfeiffer is still one of the most beautiful women in this.
Yeah. So Oswald shows her that he's got magically the plans to the Batmobile, as you said earlier, as a missing plot point. And he's going to turn it into a bomb. They're going to blow him up. But of course, Catwoman's like, no, you'll turn him into a martyr. That's like the worst idea. And she's like, no, we need to frame him. Then they get into an argument, and he's like, oh, maybe you're just some screwed up sorority chick. And they get that great shot of them looking at each other through the bird cage. She's looking at the bird, and he thinks she's looking at him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she puts the bird in her mouth. Oswald threatens to kill the cat, and she lets it go. Now, I'm assuming she put a fucking bird in her mouth.
That is a real bird that she put in her mouth.
Which, that bird...
And I was like, later on, she said, I can't really believe I did that. But she said apparently they had, fake birds. And she said, they don't look real enough, so I'll just do the real bird.
I would not trust a real bird to be...
No, she could have got all sorts of fucking nasty things.
Terrible idea.
Putting a real bird in your mouth.
But it is an amazing shot.
Yeah.
Like it, and as a kid, I was like, I don't know how you did that. Like how I don't know how, because as a kid you're like, they must have faked it surely, but how? Yeah. Like my brain won't comprehend this.
Yeah, there's no way Michelle Pfeiffer's gonna put a real bird in her mouth.
No, and then years later you're like, oh no, she actually did.
Totally did, yeah.
I love when she's like, oh, I feel all dirty talking about Batman. I'm gonna have a bath right here, and Oswald's all like, oh yeah, and then she just starts licking herself.
A plan is forming, and I like the way with his hands he does that bat on the. I mean, where the hell that light is coming from?
Oh, who cares?
The bat on the ceiling, fine, but it looks fucking awesome.
It does.
And I do like when she says about Batman, and she says that the fly in both are ointments. And he goes, ointment, and he goes over to the side, goes, scented or unscented?
Yeah.
He's just such a perv. It's brilliant. I mean, you can totally see why McDonald's really didn't want their toys to be associated with this movie. I mean, that whole scene alone would have the alarm bells must have been catastrophically ringing for them.
Now, this next scene, I have a weird memory, and I don't know whether I'm getting confused between the first Batman movie or whether there was a different shot that they replaced in later versions.
Right.
Because this goes, it's only one line, but it's just different to what I remember. We see Bruce watching Oswald, who is talking about turning the fucking Christmas lights on yet again for like the 5th time this week. And he's like, I hope Batman will be there to keep the peace.
Yeah, he says subtle.
Yeah, he says subtle. Now, my memory of that is that he says count on it. And I could swear he said count on it. And I don't know whether that's just like a weird childhood memory gone wrong, or whether like there was a VHS version that I had that he said that. But why would you say something different? Because subtle works so much better. And he does say subtle. It's not like they've overdubbed it or anything.
Yeah, no.
I think I must be misremembering it. But you know when you're so sure?
Yeah.
And I was rewatching it, and I was like, it was like, oh, I don't remember him saying subtle there, but he did.
I know the British version was cut down. So the British version had the guy with the nunchucks cut out.
Yeah, we're not allowed nunchucks.
We're not allowed nunchucks everywhere.
No.
So that was cut out, and there was another. I forget what the other one. There was another one.
Well, according to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you can carry them, but you can't do anything with them.
Yeah,
you just carry them.
You can use them like as a belt prop, but you're not allowed to.
Yeah.
I still think the funniest thing for fucking Turtles
Hero
is the fact that they were hero turtles, they were not ninja turtles.
Yeah, they're not allowed to be called ninjas.
Yeah. God. Our government so fucked.
We then see we get a great shot of Selena looking in the window, and she's like, "Do you know what you're doing in the shop window?" She's like, "What are you doing?" And then she sees Bruce in the background, and then they start slagging off the newspapers, because there's like a newspaper slagging off Catwoman and a newspaper slagging off Batman, and they're both just like, "Oh my god, these tabloids." And yeah, they have this conversation where he's like, "Oh, you know, you've kind of got a dark side, haven't you?" And she's like, "Ah, no darker than yours, Bruce."
No darker than yours, Bruce. Yeah, it's like, does she know something we don't?
And they start talking about the tree lighting ceremony, and Bruce is like, "You could watch it." Like, I love that it's like, you could watch it live because you're literally in the city where it's happening right now. But Bruce is like, "We could watch it on TV in my house." It's like, why? We could watch it here. But of course she's like, "Oh no, I've got plans," and he's like, "Well, come over early, we'll have dinner." And of course, so she agrees, knowing that they have to, you know, frame Batman later, but there's time for dinner first. So we then see the I don't know, porn star, yeah, the Ice Princess.
She is so fucking dumb. I mean, she's
she's dumber than Chip.
Her and Chip will make wonderful dumb babies.
Yes, they would. Oh my god, they are the match in heaven.
Yeah, and then of it, the Penguin comes in with the poodle lady.
Yeah,
and she turns around, and it's like there is a poster of him on every street corner.
Yeah,
everywhere there are posters of him, and yet she's like, "Who are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm a talent scout." And she's like, immediately, "Oh right, yeah, I'm an actress," sort of thing. It's like, wow, you really are.
And she's like, "Is that batarang shaped thing a camera?" And he's like, "Jeez." Yeah. So of course she gets knocked out. And yeah, meanwhile we have a really awkward scene, which I love because it does, like I said, it references Vicky Vale quite nicely, where they talk about Alfred. Vicky Vale was always like, "Oh, he's wonderful, isn't he?" And you know, here Selena's like, "What a weirdo! Why have you got this old guy hanging around?"
Yeah. Doesn't seem to understand the concept of staff.
Yeah. And yeah, they do talk briefly about her, where he's like, "Oh, you know," she's like, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And he's like, "Oh, I had one, didn't work out." And she's like, Did you not tell him anything? Did you keep things from her?" And she's like, "No, I told her everything." It's like, that was the problem. I told her everything. And you know, they both have a really nice moment, really.
Yeah, it's a great, again, fucking lighting.
I do love when he says her name's Vicky, and she's like, "What, ice skater or stewardess?"
Ice skater or stewardess is like, yeah, great. I love that. I love how quickly she's become that much sharper now.
Yeah,
with her little digs and things.
Which you think she probably always had, but she was too shy to say.
Yeah, they were clearly always there, because you do get, when she's talking to herself, she sort of said that the things she says can be quite, scathing. But now she doesn't need to sort of hide away from them anymore. They're at the forefront of her mind now. She gets to say what she wants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of her thing. She's clearly at this point she's becoming more unhinged, and she says later, I don't know who I am anymore. It's all these different things in her head. And that's so great by her. So well fucking acted.
Yeah. So they start kissing and almost start having sex until she almost touches his scar, and he almost reveals the hideous scar that he's given her for life on her arm.
Yeah.
And
that ain't going away anytime soon.
No, that's probably going to be there forever.
Yeah.
That's pretty awful. And they're like, "Oh, I can't do this." She's like, "I can't, neither can I." And then of course there's the news report that the Ice Princess has been kidnapped. And they're like, "Commissioner Gordon, do you think this bloody batarang incriminates the Batman?" He's like, "This is purely circumstantial evidence. This doesn't prove a goddamn thing."
Yeah. I do love the way that everybody immediately does turn on Batman, though. It's like, No, yeah,
there's a
clearly
really
villain.
there's a really weird thing with this movie because they ignore it in Batman Forever, but this movie ends with him still kind of incriminated for everything. Like, at no point does he prove his innocence at all.
Well,
like, they prove that Oswald's an asshole. That's all they prove.
True, that is true.
Like, because the Batmobile's he gets in the Batmobile, then the Batmobile starts running people over in the street.
Yeah. I mean, they are using the bat signal at the end, so I guess
that's true. It is forgiven. Yeah.
All is forgiven.
It's forgiven. I guess they find evidence or some shit. But yeah, and then I love they both make their excuses. Like, Bruce says he's got a business thing, but they both say they're both useless at talking to Alfred, and Alfred's just like, "Oh, fuck off! I'll say something. Just don't worry about it."
It's like she says, "Just tell him, I've been going through some changes, and it's very confusing right now." And then she goes, "Actually, no, don't tell him that. Just make up a limerick or a sonnet or something."
Didn't she say a dirty limerick or something?
Yeah, and I love the way Alfred does. Something has come to mind.
Yeah, he says one has just come to mind.
Oh, Michael Gough is fucking awesome.
Oh man, I mean, I was a fan of his from like Hammer times.
Yeah.
But seeing him here was amazing. So then we get a suit up scene, and this is something I had never considered until I watched this movie. Later on, they do like, oh, they got this big vault where all the bat suits are. But in this movie, I was like, yeah, I guess you would have to hang your bat suits up on a hanger. I'd never considered that before. But he's got like a clothing rail with a hanger with all of his bat suits on it.
I love the fact that the bat wardrobe, as it were, in this thing, it's literally like in the wall, and there's a gap.
Yeah.
There's a drop between, again, between the where it is and that, and the like the door comes down portcullis style.
Yep.
To form a drawbridge, not portcullis, a drawbridge style, so that you can get into it. It's like brilliant. I love that. And I do like the fact that he's got like 20 different suits. It would have been nice if there was like a slight variation in them or something.
Some of them do look damaged, which I quite like. I think that's more accident than on purpose, but I do like that.
Probably suits that they
exactly.
Used. Yeah,
but it does look cool that some of them have got damage to them and things. But yeah, so yeah, we see Batman turn up in the Batmobile, and then he does the thing from the first one where it shields itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we cut to immediately as Batman leaves the Joker's the Joker because they're fucking clowns. The Penguins guys come up and unlock the Batmobile because they know how everything works magically.
Yeah.
And yeah, they start working on the Batmobile whilst Batman goes up to find the Ice Princess. Don't know how he knew where she was, but he knew.
And again, I love the
although no, he sees her from the rooftop, doesn't he? Actually, he goes up to the rooftop, then he sees her. Yeah, he
sees her across the street, sort of thing, in a window. But I love just the Burton-esque devices that you see. The gang have got these headpieces with that stretch. They've got like little arms that stretch out, and they've got
like schematics like on the front of them, haven't they? Yeah,
they've got like negatives of the part of the Batmobile that they're working on, and there's just
I love like no one walks past while this is happening.
No. It's just
there's like wires and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, they've almost completely taken this Batmobile apart.
So Batman goes to free the Ice Princess, and Catwoman turns up, and she says like, "Oh, I was kidnapped by an ugly bird man with fish breath." And then Catwoman turns up and she says, "Did somebody say fish? I haven't been fed all day." And Batman, my favorite line of the whole fucking movie, when he punches her to the floor, he's like, "Eat floor, high fiber." I was like, "Oh, it's such a good line." And then she's like, he's full of quips in this one, because then she's like, I thought we had something together, and he's like, "We do," and then he headbutts her.
Yeah.
And then she whips at him and steals the Ice Princess.
Yeah, gotta go, girl talk.
Yes, yeah. I much prefer, by the way, subtle, but I do prefer the bat suit in Batman Returns.
Yes.
I think it is a better design.
Mm-hmm.
It looks more flexible, even though it's not. It looks like it would be more flexible.
It's probably my favorite bat suit.
Oh, mine too. Well, actually, I really like Affleck's suit, or at least most of Affleck's suit.
I like Affleck's suit a lot.
The first one, not the armored one.
The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Basically, isn't it? It's.
But no, this is either first or second, depending on the day of the week.
Yeah.
Batman goes to save the Ice Princess, who's been tied up right on the edge of the building. But Penguin comes along as like long dart with the umbrella full of bats.
And says, "Rats with wings do your things."
Yeah. And even though it's 20 bazillion miles up the top of this building, one guy at the bottom's like, Batman threw the Ice Princess off and killed her.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you saw that? That's incredible.
You got good eyes.
And then, of course, she hits the ground, and then the lights come on and bats come out of the...
She hits the on button, doesn't she?
That's right. Yeah, they timed it perfectly.
And then, of course, all the bats come... The lights go on, the bats come flying out.
And I love...
Again, you sort of think, but like the crowd is me like, oh my god, Batman's like terrible. He's like... And not one of them goes... Isn't it a bit weird that Batman would put a load of bats in the tree?
Yeah. I love that Commissioner Gordon tries to stop them from shooting Batman, but they shoot immediately. And I love the framing because he then falls off the building onto the ground, and immediately Catwoman climbs on top of him. Yeah, it's such a well framed shot. That I love that.
Yeah.
They get that weird, fucking such a Burton-esque line. The like. Mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it or whatever.
That's my favorite line in this movie.
It's great, but it is like half of the Joker's lines in Batman. You're like, what? Who says that?
But it's what I love about that whole line is as ludicrous as it is.
Yeah,
the callback is
it's great. It's wonderful. Yeah, because they both say it so innocently.
Yeah, and it's the reverse of them saying it and immediately getting what's going on is. Oh, to me, that's my favourite part of this movie.
And I love, she stabs him. And after that line, she stabs him with the thing. And he just, like, he just punches her into, like, a rose bush. And then he pulls the thing out, and the look he gives her is just like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
He just pulls it out, gives her that shitty look, and just throws it at her.
Yeah.
And then he does the cool bat wing thing.
Yeah.
The bat gliding wings, which look amazing.
He's so good.
It's so awesome. The way they come out is just really cool.
And is it here that she has the line about you're the second man that killed me this week?
Yes. Yeah, but I've still got 8 lives or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then so Batman returns to his Batmobile. Catwoman is furious. Oswald comes up and he's like, "Oh, outstanding! You're Beauty and the Beast and one Christmas gift or whatever."
Yeah.
And she's like, "You were only meant to scare her. Like, why did you murder her?"
And he says, "She looked pretty scared to me."
Yeah. And then of course he's like, "Okay, so now let's have sex."
Yeah, let's.
And she's like, "What?" She's like, "I did not sign up to this." What are you talking about?
Like, what are you talking about? He puts that ring, like, and she takes he's like, "Ugh." And then she says, I wouldn't touch you to scratch you.
Yeah.
And he says, "You lazy minx! You sent out all the signals."
Yeah. And then he instead of just pushing her off the building, he attaches a helicopter
to her neck,
her neck or something.
And I like he says, "Was it fly away, my pretty?"
This is one of the worst shots. For age wise, this is not aged well. The Catwoman on the umbrella looks ropey as fuck in 4K.
Does it?
Yeah, it's the one shot. It's the only shot.
4K, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's the only one though. Other than that, I think this movie looks really, really good.
Okay.
And I love she falls into the greenhouse and then screams and shatters all of the glass.
It's that like she falls in and you get that the shot of her as she sort of like it's that fucking again like they've killed me again sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then she screams. It's brilliant. I love it.
So the Batman gets in his Batmobile and the Penguin in his mayor truck, in his like campaign truck, gets in his Batmobile arcade machine.
The funny thing is the supermarket by what that we used to go to when I was growing up.
Yeah,
actually had one of those.
Yeah, because it was a kids thing, wasn't it?
It actually had one of those Batmobile rides.
Yeah,
outside of it. Cool.
So of course he comes on the Bat TV and he's like, don't adjust your set, and he starts controlling the Batmobile, and Batman is hopeless. I do love that as they're going, though, even in the panic, Batman's got time to think, and he puts in the disc to start recording everything that's being said. He's like, I don't know, it was a bad time to mention this, but my license is expired. And I always like to think that people walking past that campaign truck is just rocking back and forth, and he's like laughing maniacally, or just like, what is this mayor doing?
It's totally one of those if the truck's rocking things, isn't it?
Yeah. But Batman manages to basically tear the Batmobile apart from the inside, eventually finding the transmitter on the bottom.
Yeah.
Which he removes, but then of course, now the police are chasing him.
What is this? Is little old lady at 12 o'clock?
Yeah. But yeah, so Batman.
What I love about this whole scene is it's so fucking
ludicrous.
Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah, it's very Blues Brothers.
The police cars are just Blues Brother police cars that just pile up on each other.
I always loved the idea in this scene that the Batmobile is like made of fucking granite or something. Like it just like all of those cars just get pushed aside. Like it's like it is. I don't know why they need to armor it. It is, the shields are completely unnecessary based on what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
This thing is impenetrable.
Even when in the initial attack at the beginning, two of the clowns fall on the bonnet of the car, and they're just opening up with their machine
and doing
guns.
Nothing. Yeah,
and it's just the screen's clearly bulletproof. So it's like, why does it need the shield?
Yeah,
I guess it should be I guess an anti-tamper thing, really.
Yeah.
But so, that doesn't fucking work.
So we get this kind of naff thing where he gains control of the Batmobile back, being chased by the police. Weird building design, as is typical of this city, where there's like a little alleyway, and he's like, oh my god, I can't fit through that. And he makes the Batmobile into like a bike thing.
Yeah,
it's really naff, but I love the bit where he tries it and it doesn't work, and then he looks down and he's like, he tries it again. He's like, okay, now I'm worried.
Like hammering that button.
Yeah. And then you do get the Blues Brothers.
It is
crash.
Cool.
It's
naff, but it's also very cool as well. Because I love the way it comes apart.
Yeah.
The way and the wheels, realign themselves and stuff. Mm-hmm. It is cool, but it's also naff. It's
naff when it's finished. It looks cool when the bits are flying off and it's like coming together. But
it's also that like it didn't look awkward turning corners before. Now
now it looks ridiculous,
really wobbly when it goes around that bloody corner.
But fine, whatever. The next day, Oswald takes to the stand, and he's like, I'm going to ensure the safety of this city. And the mayor didn't have a plan, and I liked him, but he relied on a Batman, and he was a ticking time bomb of a freak. And it's like, you shouldn't be talking about freaks, sir. It's not going to end well for you. And they're talking about how they're going to deal with him. But they I like that Bruce and Alfred are watching.
Yeah.
And they go down the Batcave. Bruce uses the Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Are you ready?" And Alfred's like, "I'm going to use the stairs. Like, there's no need for this at all."
I do like that the idea that every time Bruce Wayne has to go to the Batcave, He has to roll his sleeve up, put it in the tank of water, and switch it on the.
Oh, I just love that there are clearly stairs.
Yeah.
Because Alfred's like, "Oh, use the stairs," and it's like, Bruce, you're not. It's not you. You could just walk down the stairs. There's no need. But we get DJ Alfred now. Another one of my favorite scenes where they somehow interrupt the frequency of broadcast and live. They manage to live feed back the lines that Oswald said in the Batmobile.
Yeah. Like a heart from hell.
Yes, wretched pinhead puppets of Gotham, and the weird thing is the audience, who could see Batman 5,000 feet in the air just now, can now not tell that he's clearly not saying the words that are coming out of the microphone.
I mean, the thing is,
it's his voice, I guess.
They have set it up so that the actual stand and all the
it's kind of in the way, I suppose.
Are completely covering him. You can just see his top hat above them.
Yeah. But of course he says like, these pinhead people of Gotham, and as we know, the people of Gotham will turn on a fucking dime. They're like, Batman is the best hero ever. No, he's evil. They're like, oh, this Penguin Man, he's gonna clean up the city. Oh no, he's a freak. Like, oh no, you said a bad thing about us. We hate you now.
Yeah.
And then they start throwing fruit at him, and he says like, "Who brings fruit to a speech?"
There's always someone who brings fruit.
It's not just a little bit though. They've got like full on cabbages and like fucking like there's like everything. It's like a full salad and like vegetables that they've got there. So he shoots at the audience with not blanks, I don't think, because it's hitting the stand, so it is actual bullets.
Yeah.
So there's no way he could be like, this was faked now. It's like, no, he is properly. It's like, well, even if the message was faked, your machine gun umbrella was definitely real. So
yeah.
So the police are after him. He manages to escape into the sewer.
And again, it's that. The fucking cops in Gotham are fucking psychopaths.
Yeah, they shoot. They just shoot.
Him.
They just shoot constantly. Well, they're like, well, we allow a fucking vigilante to blow people up with dynamite. We just shoot first, ask questions later, I guess.
Yeah.
Oswald has now rejected Oswald. He turns up and they said, "Oh, Oswald," and he's like, "No, I am Penguin of the Sewer."
Oswald and punches him. He's like, "I am not Oswald. I am not a man. I am an animal."
I love. He starts handing out the names of the firstborns of Gotham, and that big clown's like, well, "That's a bit harsh." It's like, do you think that's a bit much?
Dark, it just shoots him.
Yeah. No.
Did you notice actually that one of the tall clowns is Doug Jones?
Yes, I did notice that. Only on a recent rewatch though. When I was rewatching it for this, I noticed.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't until looking at this watch through. I did not know that this was one of his early roles.
I do feel bad for the clown that he shoots.
Yeah, I do as well.
I think that's a bit much, and then he's just like, "No," just shoots him. Like, oh, poor guy. And yeah, so we do see. You said I think Robin was going to be the one fixing the Batmobile, but we do see Bruce fixing the Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
And he's.
I think when he switches on when he goes down to the Batcave, I think Alfred does mention about the car and how they're going to repair it.
Yeah, he says there's security to be concerned about. And he's like, "You let Vicky Vale into the Batcave, you asshole."
And he says, "It's not like we can just take it to a regular mechanic, is it?"
Yeah. So he's not going to RSVP until he thinks, "Oh, actually, Selena Kyle might be there." And of course, Alfred is desperate for.
I love that Alfred, you're going to this hideous thing, are you? And he's like, "No, of course I'm not." And
he starts ripping it up.
Starts ripping it up because actually Selena was there, and I love the look Alfred gives him back. It's like, "You little shit."
Yeah, but you just think like Alfred has to deal with this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Alfred should know better than to immediately rip that up, though.
Yeah.
He should have known to leave it a couple of minutes at least. So of course Bruce turns up to this masked bull without a mask. And Shrek kind of gives him shit for it, and Bruce is just like, yeah, you backed a complete psychopath, sir. I don't think you can talk to me. But then of course he
I can't remember what it is he says to him, and I love that his response is yawn.
yeah. But yeah, so we get that great scene with Selena and Bruce dancing.
I love. There's so many cool things in this scene. You get one of my favorite Susie and the Banshees songs, Face to Face, which is fucking awesome. You get the whole, people wandering around with these ridiculous costumes on, which calls back to Phantom of the Opera and Mask of the Red Death.
Yeah.
So that you, even before Selena comes down the stairs, there is a dude dressed in the skull phantom costume.
Yes.
Which is fucking awesome. And then she comes down those stairs and they start dancing. It's a beautiful scene.
I love that it's a masked ball and they're the only two not wearing masks.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. You get that great conversation when he's like, oh, I wasn't expecting to see, like, she's like, because she mentions Max, doesn't she? And he's like, what, you and Max? And she's like, oh, no, and starts joking and pulls the gun out. It's like, no, this and Max.
And Michelle Pfeiffer has the coolest giggle.
Yeah.
I love that giggle she says when the ludicrous idea when he says,
you and Max.
For Max? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And she goes down to her garter and pulls out that little derringer.
But I also love when he's like, who do you think you are? And she's like, I don't know anymore. And she just completely breaks down. It's like, I don't know who I am anymore. Like, I'm completely lost. And then, of course, they start kissing, which is when they see the mistletoe.
Yeah.
Because he starts kissing her neck, doesn't he? And so she's looking up.
Yep.
And then she says, they say it the other way around, though, don't they?
Mistletoe could be deadly if you... mistletoe could be deadly if you eat it, and this kiss can be deadlier if you mean it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite lines in movies.
I love when they take that step back as well, and she's like, "Do we have to fight now? Like, what do we do?"
It's cool. Like... There's the sort of step back, and then there's that sort of they're just looking around at everybody else to see if anybody's noticed.
Yeah.
And then they immediately come back together, and she says,
and he says, "Let's go outside," which is good because they would have blown up otherwise.
Yes. And she says, "Does this mean we have to fight now?" And it's like, yeah, no. And that does. I do wonder about that. The design of the room. It's like, why is there a big glass structure on the floor?
Yeah.
It's like they clearly go to the sewer or something.
Yeah. So as they walk away, the floor explodes and they're thrown like opposite ends of the room, I think, because they can't find each other. Max actually checks on his son, which I was surprised about.
Yeah.
And then the great shot of the penguin coming up on that thing. With the baby, with the penguins on the back, with the missile launchers.
With the missiles on the air.
And he's like, why? The mayor's like, what do you want? And Penguin's like, right now, my men are fanning out across the city, stealing your firstborn sons that you've left at home, so you could dress up like jerks. But yeah, and of course, he's here personally for Chip. Yeah. Doesn't he call him the big white dope or something?
The big white dope, yeah.
And Max is like, if you have one iota of decency, and he's like, well, I don't.
He does kind of redeem himself for his earlier thing here.
Yeah, he kind of does. Yeah,
he does actually, swap himself for his son.
Yeah.
So he does actually love his son.
Yeah, I guess so. But he does convince him to take him because he's like, "Oh, I was behind all of this, so take me." And he does.
And again, you get that. There are lots of scenes of close-ups of Danny DeVito sort of thinking and then coming up to these conclusions, which I really love.
Yeah. So Shrek is put in a big cage, and the penguin's just like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna get to like kill a bunch of the new crop of Gotham, like Gotham's richest sons.
Yeah, we're gonna go into your toxic spin-off, basically.
Yeah, he's gonna lead them in with his toy umbrella, and then they're gonna just die horribly in toxic waste that Max created. So some poetic justice as well. And you get the guy. He's driving along in that ridiculous clown mobile thing to pick up the kids. It's like a train. It's like a steam. Yeah. It's like one of those old steam tractors, isn't it?
Yeah,
I forget what they're called.
You get a carnival, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Apparently, there is. I don't know whether it still exists, but they did film scenes of the children being snatched.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think they thought when they actually looked back at it, they thought it was probably a bit too horrific. Yeah. So they decided to get rid of that and just have them, put them in the cages and stuff, which is kind of horrific in its own way. But
you get that great shot of the silhouette of the shadow of Batman on the wall.
Because the organ grinder's like, hurry up and get these kids in the thing.
Yeah.
Taking you so long.
And then he sends the monkey back to Oswald to deliver him a note from Batman on headed notepaper with the bat symbol on the top.
Apparently that's Bob Kane's writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is really cool. I like that. Also, so apparently the monkey was utterly terrified of the penguin.
I'm not surprised.
And apparently Danny Vito said that the first time the monkey came down the stairs, took one look at him and just went for his balls.
Oh my god!
He said it was really lucky that I had all that padding on. He said because otherwise he probably would have been completely nadded.
So Penguin gives a sermon to his penguins now that he knows the kids aren't coming back, and he's like, my millions of penguins with missiles on your backs, go and blow up everything.
Yeah, I love the way he says why discriminate? Why not just the first sons, the second, the third, the daughters, everybody?
Blow up Gotham with missiles. Off they go. The penguins are heading out. Meanwhile, Batman has, for just this occasion, a sewer mobile, which only makes sense in Gotham because the sewers of Gotham are massive.
Yeah.
They're like the wide. I know American sewers are wider than UK sewers, but even so, these are huge.
Well, I mean, to be honest, there are sections of Victorian sewers that are huge.
Yeah. But these are consistently big enough that you can send a rocket machine down them.
Yeah. Oh, what was the name of that? Oh, Bazalgette. Bazalgette was the guy who did the sewers of London.
And yeah, you get the poodle lady. It's like 1 minute until ignition.
Yeah.
And then she's like, something is coming. Yeah. I love her. She's great.
Right. Well, she says something very big, very fast.
Yeah. You get the great shot of the bat thing speeding around and avoiding penguins when it does the spin around the top of the sewer. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's really cool. The bat boat design is really nice.
Yeah, it's a cool design. It looks like it's only designed to go down sewers.
Yeah, well, I think it's just supposed to be a hydrofoil, isn't it? Really?
Yes. So yeah.
It's very cool.
But yeah, so the penguins.
I do love the image of all the little penguins running down
to Gotham Square.
Yeah, it's like and the little helmets and
they're so cute. But of course, DJ Alfred with his frequency jammer is jamming them all, and he sends them back. And of course, the poodle lady's just like, something has jammed the signal.
Yeah,
we're all going to die horribly. I just love how emotionless she is the entire time, because even when he threw the batarang at her, she just didn't react at all. There's like no emotion.
No, she's great.
So of course the penguins are coming back.
I love it when the clowns and things start slinking off.
Yeah, they're all like, "Oh, fuck this."
It cuts to her because she's like in an igloo, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in her own little
igloo booth.
Yeah,
and I love the shadows and the light. You see her sat there in this like little pool of light, and she slowly like sinks back into the shadows and disappears. It's a really cool shot.
Yeah, it is awesome. And we see Max because the monkey's got the chimp's got the keys. And Max is trying to get him with a handkerchief or something. I guess it works, but
yeah, he's sort of trying to sort of bring him over, isn't he?
But yeah, so now the penguin's all alone. Everyone's abandoned him. He gets into his duck to try and escape, but it doesn't get far. Because Batman destroys another vehicle, uses his vehicle to destroy that vehicle, and he crashes out of the.
Again, probably would have killed him it definitely would have killed him.
Well, I think that was the intention. I mean, Batman don't give a shit.
No.
He would definitely try and kill him. But yes, he managed to survive somehow. Unknown how, because the duck is completely screwed. But
yeah.
But yeah, and then the penguin attacks him from behind with the umbrella, and he's like, "You just hate me because I'm a freak without a mask." And he's just like, "You might." Freak. I like that Bruce is like, "You might be right." But yeah, Batman's got the frequency thing, and he presses it. You get that great shot, almost like a Zorro shot of his eyes under the mask. And then of course all of his babies come back, and he's like really upset about it. He's like, "Oh my god, my babies!" And it's like, you were about to kill them all anyway. Like, you were about to get them to launch missiles everywhere. Everyone was gonna die.
You do sort of think, well, I don't think they would have survived either.
No, that's what I mean. I think they were all gonna die. You were gonna murder everybody. But of course he thinks he's like disarming it, but he actually launches it, doesn't he? Because he gets hold of it and he's like, "Oh, press the red button myself. That might solve this problem." It's like, no, that clearly was the bad red button, but okay. So he presses it, and the penguins all launch missiles at each other, but that sets off bats that fly at the penguin, and it's kind of poetic justice because that's what the penguin did to the Ice Queen princess. And he falls into the toxic waste water. Max Shrek escapes because he gets the keys from the chimp. Yeah. Everything blows up. Although not really enough. It
does look fucking awesome. All the explosions in the zoo.
It does look awesome, but it does make you think that this plan wasn't really going to kill many people. Because the explosions aren't that bad. Like, when they all leave, you're like, "Oh my god, there's like 20,000 of them. They're going to blow up half of Gotham." But they don't. Yeah. They just kind of blow up a little bit of the zoo, and it's fine. Max does manage to get. He picks up a gun off of the guy that was killed and thrown in the water, right?
Yeah.
So he has a gun. Catwoman grabs Max and pulls him out of the water. And
she spin, doesn't she? She uses the when he's getting out of the cage, she whips his leg and yanks him into the water.
Yes, and then pulls him out of the water. My favorite look of Catwoman with the hair and stuff.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I know you can get a figure of that. It's really fucking cool.
That is cool.
I think it's expensive as fuck, but yeah.
She's like, "I'm here for your blood," and he's like, "My blood? I donated."
I already gave it
like,
the
that's like half a pint. I'm talking gallons.
Yeah.
But I love that reaction of like, "My blood? I donated." It's like, I've done my charitable thing.
It's just a very Walkland sort of response.
It's amazing. And I love when Batman turns up, he's like, "You're not only saving a life," and Batman's just like, "Shut up, you're going to jail.
You're going to prison." I love the way he just pushes him away by his face.
Yeah. So now Batman's on one side, Shrek's on the other, Catwoman is in the middle, and they start talking. Batman's like, "Why are you doing this?" And he's like, "Let's just take him to the police and we can go home together." And she's like, "Oh, I'd love to live with you in your fantasy mansion with your old creepy dude, but
yeah. I could learn to love the creepy dude. It's fine."
Yeah, and of course he calls her Selena, and then he takes off the mask.
Yeah.
And he says, "We're the same," and
it's down the middle, isn't it?
She's like, "Yeah, it's split down the middle," and she's like, I'd love to, but I just don't think I could live with myself," and she like pushes him away. And then I love Max is like, "Selena Kyle, you're fired." You're fired. And then he's like, "Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed like Batman?"
Yeah, because he is Batman, you moron.
So good. And then of course he shoots. And then he shoots Batman, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, because she's like, because he is Batman, you moron. And he's like, was, and then shoots him.
Yeah.
And then Selina says, I've still got 7 lives, or 6 lives or something.
He tried to kill me this week.
Yeah. So he keeps shooting her, but ultimately he runs out.
I love the was it 6, 7 or goes to go to heaven or something? She's saying like each of her lives.
Yeah, and then she's got 2 left, and she's like, I think I'll save 1 for Christmas.
Yeah, I'll save 1 for next Christmas. And I like that she takes out the taser and says, "Give us a kiss, Sandy Claus."
Yeah.
And she takes the massive wire from the power generator behind him.
Yeah.
And they get that kiss, sort of electric kiss thing.
Yeah.
Which clearly fucking kills her. The
body disappears though.
It does.
Because he gets the full-on Indiana Jones treatment. I mean, he is like a messed up skull.
Yeah. So, in one of the versions of the script, that scene was supposed to be how Arthur Dent became not Arthur
Dent?
not Arthur Dent. Harvey Dent.
Arthur Dent would have been a very different film.
How he became Two-Face. So it was going to be Billy D's. So that electric thing was going to be what caused his face to be massive. And that was what they were going to... So the third one, I think Two-Face was going to be is the villain in the third one.
Yeah. I always felt like Billy D should have got that. I mean, I know he did with the Lego stuff, but it would have been really cool to see
it would have been nice.
Billy D Two-Face. Because he put in the time, and I really liked him as Harvey in the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually one of the sad things I do think about this movie is that only 3 people come back.
Yeah, it feels like Billy D should still be there,
Yeah, I actually would have liked Knox to have come back as well.
Yeah, I loved Knox. I mean, he was just like the worst. You just love to hate him,
Yeah, it would have been nice if he. I know there was also supposed written in one of the scripts a scene where there was another flashback to Nicholson's Joker, and we were going to get a scene with them, but again, it all got sort of thrown away, sort of thing.
Yeah. So Bruce starts looking for Selina. She's not there. Max is dead. Meanwhile, the Penguin resurfaces with goo coming out of his mouth, and he's looking gross and dead.
More gross, you mean?
More gross, yeah. And he pulls what he hopes, I guess, is a gun.
Yeah, I think it's yeah.
But it's the toy one, isn't it? He's like, oh god, I picked a cute one.
Mobile umbrella.
Yeah, and he's like, oh god, I picked a cute one. And then he just falls over and dies. But
says I will kill you momentarily.
Yeah.
First, a drink of cool water.
And then the penguins that didn't die come back. And they carry him into the water.
Yeah. Mummy and Daddy family penguins.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you killed all of our sons and daughters, but we forgive you, Penguin Man.
Yeah.
We'll give you a Viking funeral. Yeah, and so he is gone. And then we get the driving scene with Alfred driving Bruce through the snow. Passing the same stock image time and time again of the same car. It's great. I do love the shot of the lighting in the car though. Again, like he is a master of lighting.
Yeah.
And of course he sees the shadow of Catwoman, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he runs out there, and it turns out to be a cat. Now, if I was him, I would have been like, no, they are completely different shapes. A human is a completely different shape to a cat. She is clearly out here somewhere.
But it is Miss Kitty.
It is Miss Kitty, yeah.
So, you get to take Miss Kitty home.
So yeah, this movie, weirdly to me, it always felt weird that it kind of ends, I mean, Alfred's kind of like, oh, well, come what may, Merry Christmas, sir.
Yeah.
But it always felt like a third movie would have had to have addressed the fact that everyone presumably still thinks he's... At least they've lost faith in him. I mean, at worst, he's not really proven his innocence whatsoever. I guess maybe later they found the Batmobile tampering thing in his mayor truck.
Yeah, I think it would have been fine. I don't think they would have bothered with that.
Yeah, all is forgiven. The people of Gotham are easily swayed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I'm good again. Okay, cool. That's fine.
Oh, I forgot one of the lines earlier on when that I really love from the Penguin when they're talking about so after the failed attempt to destroy Batman in the car.
Yeah.
And when him and Shrek are walking to the podium, and he says to, I think Walken says, "Oh, you failed because you failed to kill him," sort of thing. And he says, "It doesn't matter." And he says, "Failed to kill him." He says, "He didn't even lose a limb or an eye or bladder control."
But yes, and then as they drive off, we pan up and we see the silhouette of Catwoman.
Yeah, you get the bat signal, and you do get the goodwill to all men and all that. And
yeah, I like the Come What May, Merry Christmas and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's a nice ending.
And of course that's that.
And Batman should never be happy. So,
not really.
It was weird that he got the girl at the end of Batman.
Yeah.
It should have ended more unhappy like this. This is how Batman should end.
Well, I think there's always a hint that there might be something,
Yeah. Now, if you thought the city changed a lot between the first and the second film, let me tell you something. It becomes a neon fucking nightmare in Batman Forever. Like, good God.
Yeah. Well, they had to do something, didn't they?
They certainly did something.
They didn't want it to be another Batman Returns, so...
I know. I wanted it to be another Batman Returns, though.
Most of us did. I can't...
And I think Val Kilmer was a fine choice as a replacement. Yeah. But I hate the art direction of the second one. The third one, sorry. That's my main issue with it.
There's some lovely things in that.
The cutscenes are really good in that one. Like Bruce with the giant bat and stuff.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff that they just didn't use. That whole subplot seemed like really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love this movie. Like I said, I know it's your favorite Batman. It's either my favorite or my second favorite to the 1989 first one. On any given day. To be honest, when I was rewatching this, I was like, oh, actually, I think I prefer this one. But I know that if I watched Batman, I'd be like, no, actually, I prefer Batman. Yeah. It's like whichever one I'm watching of the two, I'm like, this is my favorite.
Yeah, I don't think between those two, I don't think it really matters. Yeah. But
I don't care that it's not comic accurate and all of that. I love that Burton just went weird and just went, you don't hire Tim Burton to do an adaptation of something straight. When you hire Tim Burton, it's going to be weird.
Exactly. Yeah, and I guess for the first one, he wasn't quite fully formed Tim Burton yet, really. But by the time you get here,
yes, it's 1992. He's fully into his goth phase by now.
Yeah, and I just love all the little details in this movie, and everything is just. I think everything is perfect for this movie. You've got the soundtrack is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
The sets are fucking brilliant. Almost all the designs are good. The makeup for the Penguin is amazing. It's just all comes together in a really nice package that works really well for this version of the Batman. It's not comic accurate, but there's more in.
But it's so creative.
Yeah, and there's more in line with the comics than
most of the realistic ones. So
yeah, exactly. And
I've always said that realistic Batman is ridiculous to me. The closer you get to realism, the more it becomes ludicrous. Set in a comic book universe like this, all of the weird stuff in this, like how does the Penguin get this Batmobile arcade machine built and stuff? It doesn't matter because the world is that way and it's just weird and comic booky, and it totally works for me. Like Batman only becomes really stupid when you try and make him realistic because it's stupid. Like if it's in a fantasy world, it's fine, and this is firmly in a fantasy world,
Yeah.
And it's very different Penguin is nothing like Penguin. Catwoman is kind of like Catwoman, but the origin is weird.
Yeah.
But my God, the Penguin is such a cool character in this, you know?
Yeah, he's a really great monster.
Yeah.
It's done really well and brilliantly, sort of, you know, such just a brilliant Danny DeVito performance. You know,
it's one of my favorites.
And I think from what I read, he stayed in character the whole time, and the crew were terrified of him.
I'm not surprised. I would be terrified of him.
I think 3 hours a day. I think it took to put that makeup on, and when you see it being applied, it's amazing because it's quite a simple, you know, prosthesis. It kind of just covers his forehead and his nose.
It does, though. It is seamless, though. Like, it looks like it's his face. It doesn't look like it's necessarily... You can't see the seams of the prosthesis or anything. Like, it's
beautifully blended.
It's really well done.
I mean, there's footage of them applying it, and it is just a work of art. The way they apply it, and it's fantastic. It's a great version of the Penguin, because I think even the version of the Penguin in the series now is nothing really like.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's not like old Penguin. I think he's closer to what the Penguin became in the comics.
Now, do you know what I thought while watching it this weekend? It's the first time I've ever thought it. And I don't know if it's on purpose. This might just be me reading too much into things. But especially when the Penguin gets angry, there's a bit of Burgess Meredith in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's intentional or whether I'm reading into that.
No, I think you're right. Yeah,
sometimes his voice goes into that Burgess Meredith kind of area.
Whack bit, isn't there?
Yeah.
He gets to when he's really angry. I think that was on purpose.
I thought it was a nice homage, and then I thought, well, maybe I'm reading too much into this. But
no, I think it's true because the story of the mayor thing, that's a '60s Batman plot.
It is, yes, yeah.
So there was a whole. There's a two-parter, I think, isn't it, in the series of well,
yes.
I think they call the stories for two parters because you've got the
you've always got the oh my God, they're gonna kill Batman. It's like they're probably not gonna kill, but they're probably not gonna kill Batman in the TV show called Batman. But as a kid, you know, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But
I must admit, I've not watched it for years.
I've got them all on DVD, and occasionally I do watch the odd episode. They're so good. So
they are great.
And this does feel like that if it was taken seriously.
Well, that was kind of where they wanted to go.
Yeah,
the Schumacher ones. The Schumacher, I think initially we fucking hated Schumacher for what he did. But then when you see in interviews and stuff...
I can see what he was trying to do.
Yeah, it's a case of, well, I was doing what I was kind of told to do.
Yes, and when you know it's 66, then Batman and Robin makes a lot more sense. It's still awful, but you can see why they did it.
Yeah.
It's just weird when you think like, yeah, but these movies made you all the money. Why would you go back to something else? Like, just keep.
Well, they wanted the kiddies, didn't they? They didn't want it to be dark and brooding. They wanted it to be. You know,
and now
they wanted to sell Happy Meals.
Now they're all about the dark and brooding with Batman.
Yeah, exactly. How times change, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Batman Returns from 1992. Superb. No issues. Nothing to really. I love this movie.
Small niggles that. And
it's not even that. Like, when I point out stuff that is like weird or silly in this movie, I still love it for those weird things. Like, I love how weird this film is. Like, it's bizarre that it especially when you look at the kind of cookie cutter crap we get now. It is like fucking something of a miracle that this movie exists like it does. Like a massive blockbuster, one of the biggest superheroes, most recognizable superheroes in the world, and they gave it to this fucking weirdo who just went mental and made he's like, hey, what if I make it really artistic and really fucking weird? It's like, that's amazing. I can't believe you did this, but I'm so glad you did. Because I like I said, I sometimes think that probably the first one is my favorite, but you're right, this one is Tim Burton, just full Tim Burton. He's like, hey, if I'm doing it, I am doing it.
Yeah, you got to let me do it, and they did. I mean, I'm so glad they did, because you know,
I'm pretty sure that Keaton walked from forever because Burton wasn't involved, right?
Yeah,
So you know.
He said I wasn't going to do it unless he was involved.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he said about any. He said about any, you know,
the Beetlejuice or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Beetlejuice. There's no way he was going to do Beetlejuice without Burton. It would just be ridiculous. And I mean, I couldn't imagine how anybody else doing Beetlejuice.
No, God no.
It would be ridiculous to try and get somebody else to do that.
Yeah. But anyway, Batman Returns. Merry Christmas, everybody. I mean, we will undoubtedly be recording next week, but
yep. I think we're both going to watch one, aren't we? The red one.
Oh God, yeah. This is I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this was the better Christmas movie I will be watching this Christmas. Although I'm gonna watch Christmas Story as well.
I just noticed in the cast list the poodle was called Darla.
Ah. Yes, I will watch Red One, and we'll review that next week, amongst other things. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. But this is our Christmas movie. One day I'm gonna get Matt to watch Christmas Story. I'm not gonna do
I have seen it. I saw it last year.
Did you?
I did.
Did you like it?
Maybe I didn't tell you. I thought I told you.
I don't know if you did. Did you like it?
I did like it. I think it. I should have. It was one of those movies that you should definitely watch as a kid.
Yeah, it's like too late now. Yeah.
I think the charm was somewhat lost on me. I think. I think if I'd have seen it when I was younger.
Yeah. I get that.
Definitely been back. But I really enjoyed it. It's really funny, and
I think my favorite thing about it is like he's insistent on getting this fucking gun.
The BB gun, yeah.
And then he finally gets it at the end and hurts himself, and he's like, "Oh God, this is terrible."
I love that every time that he brings it up, someone says, "You shoot your eye out."
Yeah. They tell him the whole movie that you're gonna hurt yourself, buddy.
Yeah. And it's such a bizarre movie.
It's so weird.
The weird stuff with the lamp he wins and.
Oh yeah, the weird like leg lamp thing.
It's like focus for him. It's funny. I actually I bought a double pack of that movie and the sequel.
The sequel's not great,
but we haven't seen the sequel yet. We were going to save that for this year.
I mean, it's worth a watch. I'm not. I love the first one. I'm not a fan of the second one so much.
Yeah, I did like it a lot.
I don't think we talked about it, or I'd forgotten. My memory, as we know, is terrible these days. So you may have told me.
Maybe we didn't. I thought I had mentioned it, but no, we did.
I'm glad you watched it.
We bought it last Christmas.
Well, anyway, this Christmas is Red One, which we will review next week. If we aim for Monday, we might get it done before Christmas, so that'll be good. But yes, until then, watch Batman Returns. Stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.